Hello everyone, welcome to Sable's WorldForge. I've really been looking forward to this stream because I get to look at your guys' birthday challenge entries, which makes me really excited. I'm also here, I figured I'd focus on it strictly for this stream because, because I'm sponsoring the challenge, right? And that means I'm the one that has to make the decisions about who's gonna get the prizes and stuff. So right, I don't like to say judge because everybody is awesome and creative, and I don't want to judge anything. But that's great. Hello, everyone. Hi, Rudy. Nice to see you. Walking Dead lover, welcome. Dillian, Secondhand Samurai, awesome. Yay! Walking Dead says, I'm holding off my birthday prompt because I need ideas. Well, hopefully I'm here for that too. Absolutely. I want to help people out with it. Karen, how you doing? The fox is in the house. All right. Cool. That is beautiful emotes you got going on there. I love the pride emotes. Don't you guys just love them? I think they're amazing. Yeah. Yeah, so I figured I'd focus on that prompt today. I wanted to look at as many articles as I possibly could because the truth is, I know I will not be able to read them all, right? But I want to give everyone as much of a shot as possible, right? I'm not going to tell you exactly what the prizes are because Janet and Dimitri have not done a prize reveal yet. But there are prizes, it is plural, right? So more than one person will get stuff, right? And I'm not supposed to tell you my criteria for, either what it is that I'm looking for, because this is a participatory thing, right? Summer camp is all about getting involved, right? It's about expanding your world and, you know, connecting with the community, and it really isn't about who wins or who loses, right? Because we're all winners. We're all world building and creating stuff, and that is a win, right? So yeah, which is fine by me because I don't really have any. It's like, oh, this is cool, right? For whatever reason. So yeah, so that's my plan today. I also thought that I would try to help people with ideas about how to fulfill the challenge. I've heard a lot of feedback on the different groups about how it's it's a difficult thing. Hair is just in my face. Sorry. Um, some people don't have, some people's cultures don't celebrate the day that their, you know, different characters or species were born. It's not something that concerns them. All right, raid! Raid is great! Hi, Scribe of Nakati, welcome. Thank you so much for the raid. Look at all the scribe people coming in. That is amazing. The gang is congregating. I agree with you completely, Rudy. That's great. Trended Hero says, Sable, I'm here. Don't be scared. You're wonderful, amazing. You go, girl. Well, thank you. Trended Hero, always good to see you, man. I'm glad you're here. It's great. He was helping me out a lot with a few of the challenge ideas yesterday, right? I was really stuck on a couple of them, and he had great ideas, and I stole them whole hawk. So I really appreciate that. But that's what this community is all about, right? Support each other, help each other out, give each other ideas. Look at all the scribe-ons. That's so great. Welcome, Lorraine. Welcome, Zog. Good to see you. Sarukas, welcome. Songbird, hello. Dinosaur Bob is here. Dazzlecat's here. Awesome. Friendly Necromancer is here. Yay. Danny's here. Hello. So glad to see you. DM Stretch. And Kajitan. Right on, guys. Welcome. Since the last time we broadcast, I'd also like to say thank you for the follow, Sudian. So awesome. Scribe Nakati with determined conviction. Scribe on. Trinity Hero says, Sable, Diane Morrison, Coca-Cola Aradia. Stealing is bad, okay? Don't do that. Yeah. Oh, and Darth Nicholas is here. Awesome, guys. yeah, so I figured I'd try to look at as many birthday challenges as I possibly could in the stream. I promised karaoke. I owe at least one and possibly two uses of the karaoke channel points, but I'm only going to do them. I was going to start the stream that way, but I thought, no, 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 we need to spend as much time as possible on the challenges. All right, see, 200 Heroes getting in the spirit. He's giving me a link already, right? Give as many people time to show me their stuff as possible, right? So I will do the karaoke at the end if we have the time. If not, then I will do it on Wednesday with Diane Wrights, which runs at the same time slot. So 1 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is on your guys' schedule. And I will post the Anvilite streamer link again so that people can see when things are in Anvil time. Yeah. And again, shout out to the Anvilite streamer core. Such an amazing group of people. Oh my God. You know, being involved in the, at least peripherally in the organizational aspect is something that I kind of swore I'd never do again. I've been in a lot of nonprofits and collectives and things like that. And, you know, uh, I've lost patience with a lot of them, but this group is amazing because this is such a supportive community. Everybody's here to lift up everybody else. I think it's fantastic, so definitely check out the link. Subscribe or follow to all the people that you have not yet followed. Oh, shoot, did I set up? No, I did not. I did not set up. Okay, so I'm not going to do it this stream because I didn't have time to set it up, but yeah, next stream. When is next stream? Tomorrow night, our RPG stream. I will do it if we make it, right? I've noticed that we are at 23 subs. If we make it to 25 subs, I will run a raffle, right? And the raffle is going to be for not just one book, but a whole bunch of books. It's going to be the whole Weird West package, right? Just because 25 subs is freaking awesome, right? So if we make it, cool. If we don't, you know, whatever. Mostly the reason why we're there is because of Danny Adventures, right? And Lorena Lay, because they were just making it rain with gift subs in the chat. And so thank you guys. It's so cool. Right? But you know what? There's so many people to support. We got to distribute it, right? So, if you've supported somebody else and you're like, I don't have any money to support you right now, that's totally cool, right? Everybody benefits if we all bolster each other. All right. So, where are we here? All right, so we're going to start with... Okay, I'm going to briefly skim the chat just in case there's something important that I missed. I bring links as promised, says Rudy. Perfect. Quick Wiccan question. What is an athema? Athame, right? It is, I'll show you if I get a break, right? It is a double, like a two-bladed, like it's one, but there's blades on both sides, cutting edges on both sides, ritual knife or dagger. By tradition, it's supposed to be black-handled, but a lot of people don't do that anymore, right? And it represents the element of air or fire, depending on what your Wiccan tradition is. And it generally is used to cut nothing but air in most Wiccan traditions. Like you use it like a wand, basically, right? And draw symbols in the air, cast your circle, stuff like that. There are some traditional witchcraft and kitchen witch traditions that do like prepare herbs and whatnot with their athames, but specifically British traditional Wiccan and derived traditions will have a second knife, the white-handled knife, which is your boline, right? And by tradition, that is a curved blade. So I have like a big sickle thing, right? And I also have what I call my working boline, which is a fold-out small white-handled knife that I keep in my purse with a curved blade on the one side for chopping, and I use that to harvest herbs when I'm in the field. So, all right, let's get on with the show, shall we? Aaron helped to explain. Cool. Raffle. Yes. Oh, and Atanshi's hosting me. Thank you for the host, Atanshi. Awesome. I hope your stream went well today. All right, let's get started. True-Undead Hero led the pack. If you have questions, because the chat has started to get more busy these days, I cannot keep up with it completely. So please type question in all caps, right? And then your question, right? If you want ideas for how to approach this prompt or things that would fit that, because you're not sure how to apply it to your world, this would be a good opportunity to ask those questions. I'm not the only person who can help. Other people in the chat will also be happy to give you ideas, right? For the record, I'm willing to be really creative on this, right? I recognize that not everything will fit in every world, and I want to help with that. So here we go. All right, Height of Season from Nova Atis, which is True-Undead Heroes world. The Height of Season, or Lanog Betha, as it is called among the Wraither, is an annual ceremony celebrated by all the people of the tribe to celebrate one full year of life and is separated into 3 parts. That's cool. Execution. Unlike in the old world, the Wraither do not participate or do not celebrate individual birthdays, but they celebrate the birth of new life. That's cool. Makes sense to me. Because the Wraither hold a deep connection to their animalistic and seasonal roots, each tribe holds a ceremony that unites all of their people together. Minor typo, unite, you need an S, right? All their people together as one unified birthday, New Year's Day. Absolutely. There are real world cultures that do that. Everybody who's born in a certain year, for example, they'll celebrate all of their birthdays on midsummer and count them all, for example, right? And count them all as officially adults from that point, right? So yeah, perfectly legit, right? Each tribe is different, always good. Variations among tribes is important, I think, right? But it seems each tribe shares the same variant of a 3-act structure. The first part is used to celebrate those who were born in the year before and to welcome them into their first year of life. The second is for most children and adults, again needs an S, where they celebrate, feast, and play music. And by the time the sun begins to set, the tribes mourn those who died that year. Nice, nice. I like the juxtaposition. Birth and death in the same holiday, reminder that life is not permanent. And the reason why we celebrate birthdays, one of the reasons why we celebrate birthdays is because death comes for us all, right? So we can we have to remind ourselves that, sometimes that just being alive is a blessing, even if life is tough, right? The second, okay, no, I read that. Okay, and by the time the sun begins to set, the tribes mourn those who died that year with a moment of silence before their shamans sing their death song. The festival ends by the rise of the next sun. I like how you've combined aspects of certain Celtic holidays, right, with the, idea of birthday in general. This is something that makes your world truly unique, right? And when you draw on mythology is so complex and beautiful, and there's so many different cultures. Sorry, I was just checking to see if my light is on because it got dark for a minute. But so many unique cultures that you can borrow elements of them and create something that's truly unique, that resonates in your world, but that also resonates with cultural stuff that we are familiar with, right? So if you can find a way to create a unique myth that taps into real world myths that we have grown up with or been aware of on the periphery of things, right, then you can really make it meaningful, and that's, and give people feels, right? And that's a good thing. So that's very cool. Yeah. Tribal distinctions. Spring clans. Among those who were born in the spring tribes, their day lands on the vernal equinox. The celebration of new life is a strange one. Due to their connection to the air and avian animals. Oh, good. So you've been reading about traditional occult symbolism too, I see. Air would be associated when you're doing the cardinal elements in the Western occult tradition, of which, the Celts likely were one. There's you know, ritual magic elements. Wicca does this, right? You associate the four cardinal elements with things like the four seasons, right? And air is associated with spring. I do not think that would be true in the southern hemisphere and cultures that come from the southern hemisphere. And besides the point, most of the cultures in, like, you know, the Asian, you know, South Asia and whatnot tend to have more of a five element system, right? So that's cool that you made that connection, though. Okay, due to their connection to the air and avian animals, when the vernal equinox comes, their firstborns are granted with their first feathers and wings. Nice. This is a truly joyous occasion, and each one is blessed using a wand run across their forehead and the ringing of a bronze bell. Skim over this one for some minor grammar stuff there, Undead Hero. It's not a big deal. I can tell that you were trying to make sure it was done so I could look at it, and I thank you for that. That's great. I know you'll catch it in the edit when you get a chance. Right. The night is a solemn occasion as the avians place small wooden carved statues of their loved ones around a bonfire, and they are burned, allowing their trapped spirits to rise from the material plane into their heaven. That is beautiful. What a lovely thing. I imagine getting wings would be a momentous occasion that would be such a joy and a terror to celebrate. And we haven't done the summer clans or the winter clans yet. Fair enough. I mean, you know, this is summer camp. You got to make sure that you get the basics down and entered, which I should frickin' learn, but okay. Autumn clans. Among those who were born in the autumn tribes, their day lands on the autumnal equinox. That makes sense. Oh, thank you very much for the follow, Starlock. Hi, Starlock. Nice to see you. Yay! Welcome. I've seen you in a couple other streams, so good to see you. Okay. Right. The celebration of new life begins with taking the child and washing them in a black bowl with hot water. I hope not too hot, which is accented with leaves and herbs. Once the bath is complete, but I like how you incorporate the heat and fire element with this. That's also appropriate for the summer season if you're drawing upon Celtic cultures, which I know you are. Once the bath is completed, each new life is given a prayer in Rethe, which completes their connection to the sea. Neat. The night celebration is a simple, humbling one, as each member who lost a family member or a friend without family brings forth a flower, um, with which bulbs glow. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Are you saying the flower has a bulb, like the seed part, like crocuses, that glows? Or were you talking about, say, the round part, the crown where the that where from which the petals rise? Um, Okay, they place the bulbs in a nearby water source, which heads out into the ocean as they all sing in unison as the flowers float away to become one with the great ocean. That's lovely. That's beautiful too. I am reminded of several Asian festivals that involve setting things to sail on the water. That's beautiful. Well, this is really nice. I like this. I think you've got all kinds of really cool ideas here. I like how you've drawn from real world mythologies, but you haven't made it identical. That's awesome. That's really awesome. I admire it, actually. That's fantastic. I hope, you know what, I'm going to open a document here so that I can keep all these links for a more detailed look later, right? Because I'm kind of keeping a list of stuff that I want to look at, so I'll just put this here, and then that way I don't end up with 10,000 more tabs open than I already have. So there we go. Okay, so there's the first one. All right, great. Thanks, Trended Hero. That was amazing. All right, I got that up again. Let's see who's our next one. Lorraine sent our next one. Thydian or Thydian naming day. All right. Names. Names are important. They can tell us who we are, who we were, who we will be. They define us as much as the color of your hair. Minor grammar thing, our hair, right? You've consistently used the our as your, but who cares? Okay, in Thydian tradition, I'm going to call it that. I'm sorry, correct me later if if I'm screwing it up, but I'm probably not going to have a chance to check until well past this. In Thadian tradition, a person has the ability to name themselves for various reasons. Others may name a person for something memorable about them, such as High King Magnus the Red-Eyed, being named for his red eyes. Magnus has also named himself by taking on the name of a successful Arl. What is an Arl? You've had tooltips, I can look. In charge of an Arling, political subdivision. Okay, cool. Right, like a baron, perhaps. Okay, who had expanded his Arling's borders to cover almost a third of Théoden. That's a little loud, isn't it? I'm going to turn that down a bit. Okay, I don't want to be yelling over the music. I'm going to be talking steadily, so. Okay, naming children. Another mark? But that was the third one. He'll find his own name then. He'll grow into a stubborn Théoden, just like his mother. Edvin Skarsvard and Matilda Skarsvard trying to name Kid Skarsvard as a newborn. When a child is born, they are given a name by their parents. After about a week, if the child has not developed a marking, post-birth birthmark, rash, post-birth freckles, or other such marks, their name is considered bound to them. If a mark has developed, the parents try another name. After a third naming attempt, the child is given a nickname that takes the place of a name. Needed the there, right? Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, takes the place. Yeah, of a name until they find a name they wish to claim as their own. Cool. I remember you were talking to me about this briefly, or others. Maybe I never did respond because it's just been so busy. But in the Discord and my Discord, you were talking about this a bit, and I really like the idea of the concept of a child, having these signs that they've rejected their name. That's really neat. And the bound name suggests perhaps there may be naming magic in your world, that perhaps there are, like if you know someone's true name, you have power over them, that kind of thing. I don't know if that's true, but it suggests that. That's awesome. Name claiming. Hey kiddo, what's the exciting news you're holding up in secret for tomorrow? It's your birthday. Aren't we the ones who are supposed to be keeping secrets from you tomorrow? Ha! I've got it. Got what, niece? My own name. Woodcutter and his niece. Right. When a Théoden binds a name to themselves, yeah, I never know how to handle that one with the singular they. Do you think themself is the right way, or themselves? I tend to lean to themself when I'm writing, but I stumble over it when I see it in print. I'm, just curious about how we should approach that. Yeah, they announce their name to the people close to them on their birthday. Regardless of if they were a newborn who rejected previous naming attempts or not, they spend the next 3 weeks being referred to, you need a to there, entirely by their new name until the name becomes habit for everyone around them and for the newly named. That's cool. Makes perfect sense. Those who had been named as newborns often move the name they'd carried into a secondary name. Not a Laius, right? Eliscus was born Laius, but as she grew up, she took on the name Nada as her primary name, and Laius became her secondary name. I stumble over that a bit because we don't have a lot of that Aya thing going on, but I like it. It's cool. It's a neat name. The name movement is kept for assisting in tracking down family members, though the usage of secondary names is generally kept for individuals who are of higher social standing. Yeah, isn't that always the way? While many who are considered to be of lower social standing generally drop the second name. Yeah, in much in the same way that surnames used to be mostly for tracking nobility in Anglo culture anyway. So, yeah. And then secondary names that didn't come from that were professions or, occasionally locations, right? Surnames. Théoden surnames are usually lineage-based, though some Théodens drop their lineage names for occupation or trait names. When a lineage name is used, right, or when lineage names are used, either one, it is usually based on their parents' primary names with the son or daughter suffix, Makes sense. The daughter of Sven and Ingrid may be Sven's daughter or Ingrid's daughter, for example. Cool. Yeah, with very, that's, uh, Norse, Icelandic, Scandinavian. Yeah, that's cool. Right, with very rare instances of grandparents' names being used with the suffix barn on the end of the parent's name. Neat. That's totally unique, as far as I know. I could be wrong. Grandparent names are usually in the case of children raised by their grandparents due to the loss of their own parents at a young age. Yeah, that makes sense. You want to create a name that gives you a connection to the grandparents who were also effectively your parents, but you also want to acknowledge that, that they're your grandparents. That makes perfect sense. You've got a bracket here that I know you don't want, just FYI. Trait names. Trait names are generally given over a period of time. Magnus Red-Eyed was frequently described as Red-Eyed or the Red-Eyed Man until it became the name people associated with him. Yeah, that's traditional. Happened a lot in our cultures, Eric the Red, right? Many trait names are based on physical features or memorable deeds. A person claiming a trait name for themselves are usually seen as arrogant, and claiming a trait name without it being given by others is an action most would mock the person for, and well, they should, in my opinion. A handful of individuals have claimed trait names for themselves, or who have claimed trait names for themselves, right, have faced early years of mockery after claiming the name, and then after proving themselves to be people of respect, their arrogant move is considered earned. Inherited names. Inherited names are traditionally old names that were once the historic title or trait name of an ancestor. Some of the origins are lost in the thousands of years of history, even as the name carries on from one generation to the next. A variant of inherited names are occupation names based on trades that have been passed down from parent to child. If a child of a tradesperson does not follow and take on the trade, they take on a lineage name. If a non-family member is taken on as an apprentice, they take on the inherited trade name with the suffix son or daughter, like Smithson. Makes sense, yep, to indicate that an apprentice is considered a member of the family. The apprentice drops the suffix when their apprenticeship ends. Surname claiming. For lineage names or trait names, when the individual claims the name, they, like the standard name claiming tradition, must spend 3 weeks after their birthday only being called by their new surname. Okay, sure. In the case of orphans taking on lineage names with the barn suffix, the lineage name is bound to them at the first birthday where the child can clearly introduce themselves with their surname, usually a year to 2 years after the child begins speaking understandably. So age 3 to 4 maybe, which makes perfect sense. Okay, that is really cool, and I will read your meta stuff there. Oh, thank you for the follow. For no reason. What a clever name. That's amazing. I like that a lot. That's great. Meta origin. This entire tradition came into existence because the player behind Matthias Kid Skarsvard. Aha, important. Yep. I like that. That's great. His name was Matthias Skarsvard. However, due to his being a child, he is now Kid and will forever and always be Kid. It's not the swords that are cursed, it's him. He's stuck forever as Kid, even when he's no longer a kid. This isn't what you wanted, but it's what you got. Scruffins, the player. That's cool. Right. Okay, because the player behind Matthias Kid Skarsvard had no name for Matthias. Our group all called his character Kid because he was the youngest in the party and also 15, so among Thadians he wouldn't be considered an adult yet until almost just before our first session. We'd gotten into the habit of calling Matthias Kid to the point where the player wanted his character to be called Kid, as if it were his nickname at some point. So I made this ritual, also just before the session. It's been expanded, as you can see, but this is one of my favorite things to come out of being a GM. I love that, by the way. I love it when you take some weird thing that happens, like, among the group, and you give it an in-game reason to exist, and thus that forever becomes an in-joke, right? And you will call it back, and I can attest to this personally, 20 years or more later, right, when you're discussing your game in a way that, is affectionate and makes you really, like, have happy times with it because of the in-joke. That's very cool. I like it. I have Did I not? Oh, I already had liked this. I see. Okay, so I'm sorry. I accidentally removed your like. No, I'm not doing. I don't want to do that. I'm sorry. But no, this is cool. I have only one minor critique. It's not a big deal. I understand why things were done this way, right? Because you focused on the whole naming thing, right? There's I feel like there's um less of the day celebration in here than there is on the details of how names work, but it's not at all a you know, it's not a deal breaker. It's very cool. I mean, it's all about the names, right? So, and that's great. That's great. When you have a chance after summer camp, right? I would like to. I'd love more information, right? I'm very interested. Like, do they get everybody together that's in the person's family, right? And so that everyone can witness them taking on their new name. Do they, do they have to get like the whole village or community together in order to claim a different name, right? Just stuff like that, right? But I mean, like, that's good that I have these questions. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that they're not in there. It's just it sparks ideas and it makes me want to know more about your world, which is ultimately the goal, right? So awesome. All right. I'm going to briefly try to skim down and catch up with important stuff in the chat here for just a moment to make sure I haven't missed anything important. Oh, redeem hydrate. Thank you. That's the kind of important stuff. Yep, some back and forth chat about different about Trenda Heroes World, which is cool. Glad you crashed the party, Starlock. Yeah, the center of the flower glows at night. Okay, yeah. I think the proper term for that is crown, but don't quote me. I would look up flower on Wikipedia because they'll break it down for you. I looked it up when I was writing something about a flower on my world peridot called a starflower, right? Because I wanted to know what stuff was called so that I could describe what part was doing what. And the same thing, it's the interior that glowed. So that's why it's called a starflower. So yeah. Um, Walking Dead says, I do have my idea figured out. I just need an idea for the layout of the article. Well, if we can get a chance to help you, I will set aside some time for that specifically to help people. So we'll do that. Okay. Thedian. Thedian. Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Thedian. Yeah, I wondered about that because okay. Yeah, good. Rudy says, I'm sorry I haven't fully fleshed out names in Stenza culture. Thanks for reminding me. I would be interested to know that. I'm very interested in Rudy's Stenza, right? Rudy's got a great sci-fi world going on, and you know, um, I will say, save definitely drop the link, but save that for the end of the stream. That way we don't get confused with the birthday links, right? Dinosaur Bob just finished challenge number 20. Woot! Congratulations on your silver. Dinosaur Bob says, that's one of the many reasons I hate using they as a singular pronoun. Alternate forms get progressively uglier. We need a new, unique, gender-neutral singular pronoun. I've had this conversation with Jamie, my editor and my partner, right? You met Aaron, right? So, but Jamie, you haven't met, right? He says, and he's right, that we have one, thee, thy, and thou. That's what they were for, right? They were intended to be singular pronouns and gender neutral, right? And they just fell out of use over time. And now we think of them as being formal, right? So we don't want to use them. It feels like an archaic way to speak. But he argues for using those as our gender neutral pronouns because he says, well, it's there, it exists, it's in the language. He's right. I personally prefer the singular they myself to a lot of the other newly invented alternatives, just because most of them tend to have a lot of weird S sounds, and frankly, it's just because I have trouble with that because I have a bit of a speech impediment, right? So I struggle with them, not because I have anything against them, but because I have trouble pronouncing them, right? And I don't have any objection to the singular they either. I think of the compromises we have found, personally, I think that's the best one, the one that I like, and we seem to be settling on that as a culture. We just haven't quite made up our minds whether we want to have themself or themselves, right? So, yeah, I don't know. My thoughts. Your mileage may vary, right? I'll twist a sentence into knots to avoid using they as a singular pronoun. It's always possible, not always pretty. I hear you. I used to specifically do everything he or she, but that's not inclusive to non-binary people, so I don't do that anymore. I try specifically to use they myself for that why, right? Thedim is my Nordic region. Yep, naughty bracket. Yeah. Okay, ideally the whole family and the whole town, though in the case of cities, it's more the whole district when they get together. Okay, cool. That's great. If you already know that, my suggestion is put that in there in a short paragraph so that people know, because that's cool. Wetting the pipes is vital. Yes, it is, Dazzlecat. Kajitan has a question. How is my prompt count? Abysmal. I am not doing well on this. I am an overwriter, so I don't like to leave an article unfinished. I it I'm like, I know it's 300 words already, but you don't even have half the information. And it just bothers my brain. So I think I'm on prompt number 13 now. I'll get there. I am getting faster as I go, as the ideas become more clear to me. And what I've done now is written out what I'm going to do for the rest of the challenges. Oh, thank you for the hydrate check there, Lorraine. Yeah, right. I'm going to like do one world at a time and finish that in that section and do the things that kind of naturally flow from each other, which is not what I was doing. I was trying to do them in order. And now that I have a clearer idea what I'm doing, I find this is working better. I'm working faster. So I should be able to catch up, I hope. Yeah. Um, Rudy says, I just decided in Stenzo language has a singular and plural they, and singular they is also the traditional pronoun of ships. I like that. That's cool. Um, Delian says, I'm so glad my native language doesn't have gendered pronouns. Oh my god, isn't that a good thing? I am jealous. I wish. English is so clunky with that, and it's not even the worst one. Have you tried trying to do that in French? Holy crap. Just a nightmare. Alas, I talk in English most of the time anyway. All right. Thanks for hitting my article early in the stream. I'm off to play D&D today. We'll have fun, Lorraine. Thank you so much for joining me. 13's not bad. I'm still at 11. Well, thanks. Thanks for the encouragement, guys. I'm starting to feel like this treadmill is getting farther and farther ahead of me, and I'm going to fall off. So, prompt buddies. Yeah, Dinosaur Bob says I can't stop at 300 either. Fortunately, I've got time, fast fingers, and a world I'm happy to write in. 25,500 words so far for 20 prompts. Wow. I'll probably clear that too, actually. My prompts are getting faster too, I think, now that some prompts are inspiring other prompts. And For No Reason says, I felt that way last week, but somehow I caught up. Well, that's encouraging. Maybe I will too. All right, let's go back to the prompts, guys, because we've caught up with the chat, amazingly. Wait a minute here. See, this is my problem. I scroll back through the chat, and then I'm like, did I miss one? Yes, I did. Okay, good. Here's the next one. let's do it. The first flight. This is from Sarukas. I like your background. That is really pretty. Holy crap. Wow, is that nice. Okay. From the world of Atria. Oh, good name for mountains. Behind them, the teeth stood watch, peaks stretching up to brush against the star-streaked sky. Before them, there was only a dizzying expanse of empty air and a world shrouded in darkness. Flight. That is cool. What lovely mountains. I might have to pick your brains where you're getting your art. Okay. For Earth Dragons of the Northern Clans. Excellent. Dragons. I like dragons. You had me at dragons. The first flight is an important event in their calendar year. It is done during the summer, on the night of the full moon, closest to the 15th anniversary of a clutch's hatching. That makes sense. Okay, so they reach their age of majority at 15. That's cool. The first flight is a celebration of the dragon's heritage and allows the young dragons to experience flight in their dragon form for the first and probably only time. Oh, they don't spend all their time in dragon form. That's interesting. History. In the scope of the history of the dragons, the first flight tradition is a relatively recent one. Before 974 SE, 4803 EA. Oh god, you do that too? I have 2 different calendars in my world too, and this is a fucking nightmare. I'm so... I'm like, why did I ever do this to myself? It makes sense for the different cultures that are using the different calendars, but it's just such a headache. Okay. The dragons were open about their identities, and shapeshifting was an integral part of their lives. However, after the Draconic Concord in 974 SE, when the dragons unanimously decided to hide themselves from the world, thank you for the in-world explanation within the article. That is awesome. And well done doing it in 2 sentences. This is, okay, take note, writers. That is how it is done. That is how you avoid info dump and how you avoid sending people down rabbit holes. Okay. Before they unanimously decided to hide themselves from the world, shapeshifting became forbidden by dragon law, except for ritual or breeding purposes. In general, the clans are free to interpret that clause how they wish. Interesting. Yeah, a couple of years after the Concord, elders of the Earth Dragon clans came up with the idea for the first flight ritual after several incidents with young dragons shapeshifting illegally, because of course they would. The idea was that if there was a sanctioned ceremony allowing them to try shapeshifting, the young dragons would be less tempted to break the Concord. Over the years, this has had varying success. Okay, that's a cool idea, and I appreciate the understanding of, in this case, draconic nature, right? Although, you know, basing on how our own species works, right? I'm looking at this kind of like, you know, we don't allow children to drink, right? But we have certain cultural things where, legal or not, people tend to turn a blind eye when children drink. For instance, you know, I used to be allowed to have a small glass of wine at Christmas if I wanted, right? I generally didn't. I wasn't fond of wine, not unless it was a sweet one. And I still like sweet wines, so the, you know, wine snobs can, you know, I'm a Philistine, deal with it. But but yeah, like, you know, stuff like that. Or perhaps their grad ceremony, right? We pretty much expect grads to go have a party somewhere. Usually there's a parent that is, you know, tries to corral that a little bit. Dry grads are generally a way of trying to avoid that. And in my experience, though, you get about a third of the kids not drinking that way, which is good because it's harm reduction. But at least 2/3 of them go, okay, I've been at the dry grad and now I'm going to go to the drinking party, right? Yeah, so that kind of thing. And that makes sense. The first flight. On the day of the first flight, that year's bunch of young dragons traveled to the clan's chosen ceremony location in the Teeth. Usually this is a high cliff above a lake. Yeah, that makes sense, though this varies by clan. Most of the clan accompanies the young dragons up the mountain for the first flight, leaving only the nest mothers and the younger dragons behind. So this is interesting because they only get to fly in limited times in their life. what prevents their wing muscles from deteriorating, right? Or is it that the wings are mostly to glide and the power to fly is more like something like the pearl that exists in the heads of Asian dragons, right? Because uh, like flying with wings like a bird is hard work and you have to develop those muscles, right? So, and they're not getting a chance to do that. So I don't know, right? It's just, it's a thought I have, okay? Once at the ceremony site, the young dragons strip naked, and the elder of the clan draws designs on their bodies with mud. Because, of course, if you shapeshift while you are wearing clothes, you will tear the clothes, right? Or you will hurt yourself. Yeah. These designs vary, but are most often swirls, spots, or stripes. Do they mean anything specifically, the swirls, spots, or stripes, or is it just because it's cool? Um, the young dragons then kneel. Oh, what a cool picture. I love your moon with the rings. Okay. The young dragons then kneel at the edge of the cliff to watch for the sunset. During this time, a large fire is built by the others who have traveled up the mountainside with them. Drums are played, and the clan members dance and sing as the young dragons continue to kneel. The sun sets and the moon rises. When the moon is high in the sky, it is time for the ceremony proper to begin. The music stops, and the clan gathers, lending their silent support to the young dragons who are about to fly. The elder calls for the young dragons to stand one by one. As each dragon rises, they move to stand at the edge of the cliff, looking out into the abyss. Then they have to call out the traditional words. A strong, unwavering voice is preferred. I am a dragon of the Earth clans. I shed my childhood, and for this one night, I shed the human form that binds me to the earth. I embrace my true form and master the skies. After the words have been spoken, the young dragon leaps off the edge of the cliff. At this point, instinct takes over and the dragon shifts into their draconic form. They then circle, oh, I like that they have to leap off the cliff first before they transform into their dragon forms. That requires a leap of faith. That's interesting. That therefore becomes more than just a, here's a little, fun and play. It becomes a challenging rite of passage. That's cool. Then they circle, reveling in the joy of flight, as each one of their clutch mates says the words and joins them in the sky. Once all the clutch have performed the first flight, they are allowed to fly around for a short while before the elder calls them back to the ceremony site. They then shift back into their human forms and join in with the drumming, dancing, and singing that has started up again. Before the sun rises, the fire is doused, and the dragons head back down the mountain to their village. That is lovely. I love that. That is, that is very pretty. I wonder what horrible situation exists in this world that dragons feel the nature to, or the need to hide themselves from the rest of the world. Are they like dying out? Oh, hey, good. We have this. Deaths. Deaths during the first flight ceremony are not unheard of, but are relatively rare. If a clan has more than one death in a 10-year period, they are considered to be extremely unlucky. If a death occurs, the ceremony continues uninterrupted. Discussion of the death when back in the village is discouraged, especially around younger dragons who have not yet taken their first flight. But I'm sure they do talk about it to each other, right? Because kids do that. There's certainly going to be rumors. And if somebody goes up and doesn't come back, the younger kids are going to wonder why. No one is quite sure why a young dragon may fail to shapeshift, as the shifting is instinctual and in their blood. One potential explanation is that their fear of falling outweighs the instinctive nature of the shifting. Oh, good for me that I caught on to the fact that it's a rite of passage and a personal test. Cool. Some believe, on the other hand, that the young dragon may have been too strongly influenced by their nest mother's admonishments of early uncontrolled shifts. Isn't that always the way? Blame mom, right? Okay. Some dragons, on the other hand, believe that these failures are the clans being punished by their ancestors. And of course, there's the religious aspect too, right? They argue that the suppression of their, religious traditional, if it's not religious, but they argue that the suppression of their natural shape-shifting abilities in order to hide from humans is an insult to their history and culture. I love that. So there's a certain nationalist element among them who are like, yes, this is a punishment from, you know, God, our ancestors insert power here for not doing what we truly should do, as is our birthright. That's kind of cool. I like that. I like the different theories. I like the fact that they don't really know what has happened. And look at this. We have a manuscript here on World Anvil manuscripts that we can read. So that's great. I love your cover. It's really pretty. I'm not going to look at your story at this time, but I'm definitely going to look at it later. So that is really cool. I like this for a lot of reasons. So, but I think I've already made them very clear. This could be fun. I would like to know more about this world for sure. All right. Now, where are we here? Rudy's links. Okay, I'm going to quickly again check down. Rudy's the next one I have to look at. Yeah, Janet says 300 words, 15 minutes. So 1,200 words, 1 hour, says Dinosaur Bob. Not really, more like 2 or 3, and then formatting and pictures. He's right, in my opinion. I agree. Yeah. I found, okay, I just joined World Anvil this year. I bought myself a master membership as a, like, way to go for doing NaNoWriMo in a personal record time, right? And I was like, World Ember, 10,000 words, huh? You know? Bitches, I just wrote a novel. I can handle this, right? No. Famous last words, because of course then there's the formatting and finding the art and then finding good quotes and then rearranging everything. Yes, yes. I did do it. Right? But it was work. All right, Dinosaur Bob, thanks for joining me. Have fun. Oh, you're getting emotes for your channel. Dinosaurs. Ooh, I look forward to them. Cool. I can't wait to pick them up. DM stretch. I'm back after confusing myself with Twitch emotes. Oh my god, yes, it's such a pain when you don't know what you're doing, isn't it? It took me forever to figure them out. Hello, Greg. Welcome. Oh, posture check from Q. Thank you, Q. I appreciate it. I'll actually stretch, because, yeah. Ah. All right. Yeah. Greg says, this is why you wait to do formatting in January. Yeah, except that if you're trying to win challenges, then you do the formatting in World Ember, because the prettier your article is, the better it is likely to do. This is not necessarily true for summer camp, but how's been the birthdays? We're doing all right. Sarukas is red. Well, good. I'm so glad, because I like your work. It's excellent work. I have lots of good things to, you know, I thought there were so many good things to focus on. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. Yes. I need that, Dillian. That's great. Yeah, people like what they see. Yeah, they do. True in the music world. True in any world. True in any world. We'd like to think we're not that superficial, but we are. Yes, we are. Okay. So we're going to look at the next article now. Let's see. If it looks better, people think it sounds better. You know, yeah, you used to actually be able to succeed in music if you had musical talent, but now you have to look nice on camera, right? Kajutan says, I already had a to-do list to prepare to writing a novel in my world, but then came new ideas from writing summer camp prompts. That's great. Oh, good. Q shared his article. I have read Q's article. I like it. and I hope we have time to go over it because I think it will be a good instruction, right, on how you can take this theme and run with it and be creative, and you don't have to be like you know, right? You don't have to be obsessive about does this qualify? Well, there's a lot of leeway here. All right, where are we now? Back to, okay, I got that one. I'm doing this too fast or something. There we go. Rudy. Okay, let's have it. Aha! Yes, this would be the awesome world with the Stenza, who I'm very interested in. Oh, good. Okay, shifting. I get to read about the Stenza. I like them. This is really cool. The work that Rudy's done on this species. I'm a fan of this. I follow this world. So, shifting in Stenza culture refers to the physical process pups undergo approximately 2 years after birth. I remember that you had immature pups that are basically kind of wild creatures that aren't really sentient yet, and they just kind of run around, and people herd them as best they can. Yeah, so that's cool. Given the propensity of pups to attempt to eat anything and everything they encounter, it is common to celebrate the fact that an individual pup has survived long enough to undergo the shifting process. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because pups are born in litters during a single season of the year, these celebrations often occur concurrently for groups of individuals. Makes perfect sense, especially based on the way that the Stenza species lives, right? They tend to, they live in a hostile, cold environment. They're nomadic hunters. Yeah, history. Historically, keeping pups alive long enough to shift and begin proper schooling was a challenge in and of itself, to the point where that is still the primary role of adults in their vicinity. Thus, survivors were celebrated with a feast of whatever they had yet to steal by the time of their shift, both as something of a victory dance for the adults and a recovery measure after the children endured a metabolic and immunosuppressing process. Oh, that's interesting. While the advent of modern medicine reduced many of the risks associated with puphood, it is widely accepted many pups took that as a challenge to the chagrin of adults, and the celebration remains part custom and part practical manifestation of relief. Execution. The newly shifted children are formally invited to the clan's food stores for the first time for what is called a last raid. Nice! Before children learn the ways of preparing meat, traditionally one of the earliest classes in Estenza's education, as well as one of the most frequently returned to. In some clans, the two run concurrently, even, with the feast preparations counting as a first lesson, and children are still allowed to steal from the cooking counter. The feast is shared primarily among the children in order to help them recover from their ordeal. I like that very much. This is a species. Oh, well, I guess I'll finish reading the last line here. Observance. Stenza children generally turn 2 around last sunset, and so this is one of the celebrations which occupies that season. That is okay. I love this. I love this because, right, I like the species and I'm familiar with them, right, and they are a very um they're all about the strength, as I remember, right? Like their mating rituals is what I first encountered, right, with shows being put on to prove that they're strong enough, and stuff like that. And yeah, it's kind of a savage childhood. There's so many of them. All they want to do is eat. They just run around and get into everything, and the attrition rate is terrible, right? But rather than just kind of going, yeah, well, that's childhood, deal with it, right? Because your species is a sentient or sapient species, for those of you who want to parse such things, right? Which fine. But, right, because of that, right, it's, they're, they obviously grieve, right? They find that they're not, they're not inured to it. It's hard for them. So they celebrate having made it, and they recognize the fact that children are clearly damaged by this whole process rather than just considering it to be the natural way of things. And that's interesting. I find myself wondering, is this something that changed when they began interacting with other spacefaring cultures, right? Is it, or was it something that they have always done? That's just, it's really kind of cool. I like that very much. That's great. I like this world because it's really good sci-fi. So, and sci-fi is hard. So, hard sci-fi is hard. Well, okay, any writing's hard, but you know, I just like it because it's, you know, there's not a lot of pure sci-fi worlds on World Anvil. I write science fantasy worlds, so I can't even help there. All right. All right, Mutterwolf is my next one. I hope you're still here, and welcome, Mutterwolf. And Atanshi said good afternoon in the middle of a flood of links, so I didn't catch it. I'm sorry. All right, so Golem Life Celebration. I'll put that one up, and then I will briefly check the chat to make sure I haven't missed anything important. Wild creatures is accurate. I admit to modeling pups off the question, what if toddlers were also cats? Oh god. Yetis. Yeah, they're basically Yetis. um, and the core ethos is those who can take care of those who cannot. I love it. Basically, building the species is a good time for me, and I'm really glad you enjoy it. Good stuff. I think alternate history urban fantasy is harder than sci-fi. I speak from experience. Really? I don't find it harder, personally. And I speak from experience, too. But then again, I read a lot of history, and I don't have a lot of formal physics training, so maybe that's why. Right? I'm pretty much self-taught in the physics department. Like, other than I was in this honors accelerated class in high school, and I did get a good grounding there, better than you would have gotten in high school. I probably got some things that were like first year, first semester uni anyway, but I did not go on to university. My parents did not have the money for that, so I didn't get all that stuff. Now, all right, I'm just scrolling back to make sure. Now, why am I bothering doing that? I will do that after because I'll be responding to the chat. Oh, good. Walking Dead Lover says, got the layout idea for my birthday prompt, so I'm going to start it. Well, good. You do that. That's awesome. And if you want to turn us on in the background, cool. If you don't, that's cool too. Get your prompts done. Awesome. Rudy says, sounds like a nightmare. You can't ever know what happens if X 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Yeah, I don't know. I think you can anticipate natural consequences. I'm pretty good at anticipating natural consequences, unfortunately. This is more of a curse and a blessing sometimes because you're like, don't. Just don't do that. That is dumb. That is going to cause this and that and the other thing, and then they do it anyway. They won't listen to you, and you're a freaking know-it-all for mentioning it, and off they go, and everything goes to hell, right? So, much better to be ignorant, perhaps. Yeah, that's true. Trended Hero says alt history is easy, but the problem is getting people to accept it. Yeah, when there is magic, you need to balance how much real world history is changed by magic and how much not. Well, Kajutan, before you tell Trended Hero that, he's a historian, that's what he's studying in school. So maybe he finds it easy because of his education. I just happen to know that. That's all, right? That's a thing. So he finds it easy because he has the education. So perhaps a perspective of what is and is not easy for people depends on your background and your personal talents and inclinations, right? So, but I love alt history, especially when it's well done. So I'll definitely look at alt history too. Okay. If that was defending the genre you're writing in and saying this is not an easy genre, you're right, it's not. And I love well done alt history, especially if people have really thought about the natural consequences. So if that's what you write, spot me a link on Discord because I am into reading it. Okay, Gollum Life Celebration. Neat. This is from Mutterwolf. I like your map. Quan Empire, Paransar, Fey Commonwealth. Okay. That's very interesting. We have a place called the Quan Empire and the Fey Commonwealth in the same area. I wonder how that interacts, because you don't see that a lot in fantasy. That's great. Kingdom of Damamelia and the Northlands. The Northlands on the bottom of the map, so that's interesting. That means that your map is oriented south-north, which is absolutely cool, right? I personally don't see, like, there was a movement for a while in Australia to try to do the maps that way. I think that makes sense if you're in the southern hemisphere, personally. There's no reason why it has to be oriented on the north. All right. Gollum Life Celebration. Oh, I like your calendar. Cool. Okay. History. The Gollum peoples along the western edge of the inner sea long ago worshipped elder gods and skin changers. Skin changers as well as many spirits. It was considered unlucky to name a child at birth. Makes sense, since the first months were hard and names linked to identities. And of course, as I'm sure you know and have researched, there are many real-world cultures that had similar beliefs. I wonder if by elder gods we mean Cthulhu Lovecraft type stuff or something else. It's interesting. Okay, a named infant might then become a persistent ghost if the name were spoken, since it had no notions of behavior or direction. While unnamed, it joins the gods in the underground kingdom. Interesting. Okay. Gollum's sensibility seeks to give no ground for the entry of bad luck, evil magics, and malicious spirits. It is unwise and inauspicious to have an unlucky number of the day of the week linked to a person as a birthday, much less to call attention to it for misuse by evil mages and malicious spirits, as is done in some backwards countries. Birth is a good thing, but full of ill luck, and best not recognized until certain of no harms and imperfections, or risk of name producing unguided ghosts called to a name. Because of the moon's positions and faces, the lodges of the days, and the numbers of the days, giving unlucky and auspicious dates and names, and such details giving ground for evil magics to control or curse a person, we Gollum observe the births of a quarter as the third festival day of the solstices and equinoxes. The festivals are times of luck and well-wishing, the third day being an auspicious number with direction, and the preceding, the event, and the following. In addition, with the celebration of anniversary of life, we change the unlucky 4 periods of festival with a 5th for lives celebrated. Occam's Caiaphas, or Syaf, Master Gollum Philosopher, Ways of the Wise, year 203 Imperial. I'm going to make the comment that if you're looking for someone who sounds like a Victorian scholar who writes run-on sentences, because that's what they did, right? And, kind of sounds like an educated and perhaps somewhat pompous individual, that's excellent. That is very well done. Right? However, I will also say that I am completely confused by the number system. I cannot visualize what day that means based on that paragraph at all. I have no idea what day we're talking about. And that in part could be because I have dyscalculia and I'm a smart person with dyscalculia. I can compensate, but it is not instinctive and I have to work at it. That is a lot for me to work through, and my brain just kind of hit tilt. But perhaps that's why we have the calendar here, right? Maybe that you're explaining it in the calendar, and so that's very cool, right? And but I have no idea what time of year this is or what day. It just absolutely makes my brain go tilt. So sorry. It's a failure of mine. Okay. Festival holidays occur for 3 days between each seasonal set of 3 months. Thank you. That's better. I have not yet figured out how to put these in. Right. Okay. Do I know how to do that? I may have done that. I may be able to help with that. Yeah. Okay. I think I know what you're trying to do here. If I'm right, get a hold of me on the Discord, and I will tell you. Right. And just a note, Aaron, since I know you're watching, for some reason my virus scanner has been set to scan during this stream. And I don't know how to shut it off, and you need to help me do that so it doesn't keep staggering my frame rate every time I do this stream, okay? Thank you. All right. Execution. The celebration is observed with uneven numbers of guests and celebrants, because even numbers indicate stasis and indecisiveness in auspicious conditions. That's interesting that stasis and indecisiveness are linked in your world, as opposed to stasis and, decisiveness, because one would think that one proceeds from the other. That's unique. Very interesting mythology. Okay, the best numbers are 3, 7, 9, and multiples of these numbers. Sure, makes sense to me. I know a little bit about numerology, so seems logical. You might want to, when you have more time, explain why, right? In our world, I know why. In this one, I don't. Yeah, birth, while a happy event, is surrounded with bad luck and opportunities for evil spirits. Actual day, which may be auspicious or inauspicious, or things like afterbirth, leave one open to attack and manipulation by evil magics and spirits, and are kept secret to avoid the attentions of evils and bad luck. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Likewise, a golem celebrate the life year instead of birthday to distract the evil spirits and hide the celebrant from bad luck. Yeah, okay, so they celebrate the birthday on specific days, not the actual day of birth of the child, because they don't want to lead a path from negative spirits to the child. Makes sense. Yeah, absolutely makes sense. It has lots of precedent in different cultures around the world. Participants. Life celebration will likely have several people of a family having celebrations at the same time. Yep, absolutely. And it is, of course, expected for them to show up unless an inauspicious number of attendees or celebrants is likely. Wow, numerology is really important in your world, eh? Are you doing numerology for your, superstition, right? Or are you perhaps doing it for your secret language, right? Because that's your old wives' tale, because that's like clearly people will go, you know what, it's the third day of the, or I don't know which numbers are bad, maybe eight's bad, it's the 8th day of the 8th month, I'm not coming. That's cool, right? Very cool. Traditionally, the house elder god might also be celebrated to bring the numbers into good luck. Well, that tells me that your elder gods are not Cthulhu or Lovecraft elder gods. Oh, they're like the old gods. Okay. Since the Empire has banished the pagan worship of the elder gods. Sigh. Why must they always do that? Okay. That's not a judgment on your world. That's a comment on real world. Sorry. Yeah. The modern tradition is to bring in a mirror. Actually, that just to clarify that, in case you did feel like that was a critique of you, like it's not. Actually, having the old gods and the new god religion is a really great way to bring tension to a world, and also gives a lot of opportunity for unique culture and history to develop. And that's excellent, right? Because there's lots of good stuff in there, and certainly there are lots of real world precedents to draw upon in order to help flesh that out and make it cool, right? It works for Game of Thrones, right? It makes sense to have it as a major conflict, and it's a good world building idea. It is. Okay. Since the Empire has banned the pagan worship of the elder gods, the modern tradition is to bring in a mirror to reflect a celebrant or guest to bring the numbers to beneficial numbers. Okay, cool. I like the workaround. The memory of the dead is celebrated elsewhere, and it is bad luck to mention the dead in a life celebration. So here we have the exact opposite of the first article that we looked at, where death and life are in juxtaposition, right? In this one, death and life are seen as polar opposites, and should never have contact with each other, because to bring death into life would be to jinx it, right? And that's cool, and I like the variation. It's really neat. Okay. The feast will include noodles that represent long life. Strongly Asian influenced culture. Cool. Okay. Right. All of this, actually, the numerology, yeah, I recognize a lot of it now. It's great. Okay. Um, Honey cakes for sweetness in life. It is common to give the celebrant a coin as a symbol of luck with wealth. Priests are asked to give blessings for health and fortune. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I like more, it's less common to have Asian feeling fantasy, right? And or I don't even know if this is fantasy for sure yet. Actually, this could be alternate history for all I know, or a parallel world kind of thing, like uh, um, David Drake's Karsus or whatever, right? Because which isn't really fantasy except that it happens in a parallel world. Like, I don't know for a fact that there's any magic involved here yet, so that's really cool. I like the ambiguousness of it. All right, yeah. Observance. On the evening of the third day of the quarterly festivals, families in villages or neighborhoods gather to celebrate life year, or to the celebrate life year. Small gifts are given to children and by adult life celebrants, and honey cakes eaten. Torches and a bonfire are lit to drive off the darkness and keep a bright and warm year ahead. Dancing and songs continue into the early hours. That is great. There is a lot of stuff here that is very unique and you don't see a lot, and I really like that. I like how everyone is just like, okay, this is inauspicious, this is auspicious, and the whole culture works like that. That's fantastic. And it's hard to know whether or not this is necessary. Like, does it have any power, or is it just a superstition? It's very cool. Good work. Okay. Wow, lots of chat. I may not be able to keep up with that. Okay. Yeah, actually, it is a northland of a southern region isolated from the imperial region. That's cool. It's intended to be the Victorian style for a learned person. Okay, then you have absolutely succeeded at that, and admirably. That was excellently done. Yes. I have read that. A lot of that sort of thing. I even read, like, Victorian science fiction and fantasy, and sometimes old Victorian sources for information when I'm researching and for history, and it's like, yeah, that's well done. Rudy says, in my experience, visual aids always help. Agreed. Yeah. Daddy says, that's right, Aaron, tech support stat. Yeah, it's because he set it up. I don't know how he set it up. I think it's under his settings on this. This is our desktop computer, so I don't know where to find it. Okay. Yeah. Numerology. Getting a blowing kiss from Q. Yeah, Rudy says, numerology confuses me slightly less than astrology. I find it the other way around. Interesting. That's cool. Q says, it's funny, but I don't buy into it, but great for world building. Yep. Oh no, we have encountered an imperialism. Uh-oh. Did I say something that was an imperialism? I apologize if I did. I am working on that, so call me out if that's the case. And we gotta work through our assumptions. Or, did you, I don't know, did you mean something else? I'm not sure. But okay. Now that I've caught up, I'm gonna go back to the next link. We are running out of time. It's almost 2:30 already. I guess I'll make sure again if anybody has. Oh, thank you. Posture check. Yes. Hydrate. Thank you. Drink more. Okay. All right. Yeah, this is a good time if you have anything you're wanting help with in this prompt. If you have any ideas that you're not sure will work, but you want to run them by people, this is a good time to do that. Type question, right, in all caps, and your question, because if I'm gonna get them in, right, this is the time to make sure that you get them in there, right? All right, back. Yeah, that was really well done. Thank you very much, Mutterwolf. That was great. All right, Kajitan. All right, from his sci-fi world, or their sci-fi world, because I actually don't know what gender Kajitan is. So let's do it. The New Frontier world. Actually, because you've got the summer camp theme, is it like your whole world is in the summer camp theme? That's neat. I haven't seen anybody else do that. Okay, Earth was invaded by aliens and humans were enslaved. All right. Birthday of a rational Valor. Birthdays among the rational Valors symbolize another year the person survived without being caught by the Church of the Elders. Okay, this could be interesting. Rational Valors. Who are you people? Also called Valors without religion, are a group of Valors which don't believe in the divinity of the Elders. They claim to understand their true nature. In the rational Valors' opinion, the Elders are just aliens who used and manipulated the Valors. They claim the Valors won't rise to greatness unless they reject the false religion. Because negating the divinity of the Elders is the only and the biggest heresy, rational Valors are persecuted by the Church of the Elders. Okay, so that's interesting. So the aliens have presented themselves as deities and that they should be obeyed. I don't know whether the Valors are humans or some other species, and I look forward to finding out. History. Rational Valors claim that their way of celebrating birthdays is the original way they were celebrated among all Valors. Oh good, you've provided me a link. Okay. Valors are a sapient humanoid species from the planet Promethea. They are characterized by white bodies and hairless heads with very delicate ridges on top of them, the founders of the Coalition of Independent Planets, and they're very spiritual. Okay, cool. The original way the birthdays were celebrated before the Elders' arrival. Persecutions, however, caused some changes to the ceremony. The first change was the added symbolism of surviving another year without being caught. Then came the changes that made the celebration more suited for the situation of the rational Valors. I assume these guys are your counterculture, eh? Your rational Valors? Because that would be neat. Atheists in a very religious culture are a lot of fun. I have played a couple of characters like that. It's fascinating. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Then came the changes that made the situation more suited for the situation of the rational Valors. It was changes like limiting the number of birthdays during the person's life when the extended family must be present to 2. Yeah, that makes sense. Sure, because if you're avoiding persecution by a group that is like actually hunting you down, you don't want to gather together in numbers anywhere, do you? That makes sense. Execution. Rational Valors aren't a spiritual group, and their ceremonies don't have a strict formula. Birthdays are just family gatherings during which people have fun. Food is the most important part of the celebration. Food is always a good way to bring people together, if of any species, if they eat, because we all have to fulfill that need. If we haven't fulfilled that need, we're uncomfortable, right? So it gives us comfort to fulfill the need, and if you do it, I mean, I guess it depends. If they're a social species, doing it together is great, right? If they're a solitary predator, they would definitely do it alone, right? So that's interesting. Yeah. During the 2 big birthdays, first and coming of age, yeah, makes sense too. Each guest is asked to bring one type of food. So it's a potluck. Okay. Usually the dinner is a few hours long with a lot of conversations, jokes, and laughter. The culmination of the celebration is a mokrant cake, or mokrant cake, which is a link, but you haven't created it yet. Okay. Fair enough. Participants. Birthday is a family ceremony. Most years, only the closest family, parents, siblings, and maybe grandparents take part in it. Only for the most important birthdays, the whole extended family is invited. These are the first birthday and the birthday when a child becomes an adult. Observance. Obviously, birthdays are observed once a year. However, it isn't obligatory to celebrate every birthday. Not celebrating the first birthday or coming of age is considered weird. All other birthdays don't need to be celebrated with the extended family, so some people don't celebrate every year. Just like as you get older in English speaking human culture, generally you care less and less about your birthdays except for the major ones like 30, 40, 50. Makes sense. And a quote here. We are very proud of our son who is entering into adulthood today. He is the only one of our 3 children who survived. His brother and sister were brutally taken from us by those alien worshipping zealots during a raid 5 years ago. Enough about that. We are here to celebrate and have fun. What a horrible tragedy. And obviously the persecution is savage, eh? Like they don't just... Persecution can mean a lot of different things, right? Do they have less rights than others in their society? That's one form of persecution, right? Is there a systemic bias against them? That's another one, right? But clearly these guys are actively hunted down like dogs and destroyed. It's genocide on a massive scale. That's awful, but good world building. Yeah, good work. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Sounds like my friend is having a difficult time. I don't know what's going on there. Please keep me informed. Rudy says, you did not Sable, but I was reacting to what you said about the world we were looking at. Yeah, well, sure. Only just noticed you have the sit-ups, push-ups, reward option. Yes, I do, DM Stretch. Yep, I do. And I encourage you to use them, actually, because it makes me move, right? Preferably not today, just because we're running, we have a limited time, unless we have time at the end of the stream, right? Because I want to make sure everybody gets a chance if possible. But I like to exercise, and I need to do it. It's good for me. So like, and move around when because I'm here for 3 hours, right? You're in the same position for 3 hours. It's tiring. So but if you stock up like 50 push-ups at once, you're going to get them over different streams. I'm just telling you, because I'm not doing that. I will do them, right, eventually, but you may have to tune in for the next one. All right. Kajitan confirms his. Good. I thought I had seen that somewhere, and I wasn't, but I was like, oh, did I? Or am I just misremembering that? So thank you for confirming that for me. I will remember now. The rational valores are my counterculture. That's awesome. Anunnaki, aliens. Mokant is a fruit. Neat. Persecution is so big that they don't live in cities. Oh wow, so they like move out to like, the back of beyond so that they can stay hidden. That is horrible. Wow, scary stuff. I huh. That's very interesting. I wonder how since they're this is all I don't know. I'm not seeing your world in total. I'm gonna go look at your homepage a bit more, right? Oh, neat. Okay, so this is like total fish out of water thing, and they find themselves in the middle of this big uh, alien imperialist culture. Interesting. I'm gonna follow your world. That's cool. Yeah. No, that's cool. That's very interesting, right? It sounds like these aliens are a complete bunch of assholes. Q says, kind of like what happened in Russia. Yep, kind of like, huh? Scary stuff. Unfortunately, the real world is full of inspiration if you want to have horrible things happen in mass scales. Genocide is not uncommon, unfortunately. It is distressingly common. By the way, I'm Polish Canadian, so kudos on the Polish culture there, right? I do not speak Polish though. I would like to learn. Okay. All right. So great. So I think I've just got cues to look at this point. I'll double check that. Yeah, cues is the next one. All right, so let's do cues. Now, I'm always a fan of Megacorpolis. So, I'm sure most of you are familiar with Megacorpolis by now. If you are not, check it out. Actually, Valores is supposed to be the good guys? Wow! That's nuance. The guys who are committing mass genocide against a religious objector group in their culture are the good guys. Holy crap. Whoa. That is like some grimdark stuff. I like it. Okay. Good to see you, Dinosaur Bob. Glad you made it back. Alright. Q Yetis, says Sarukas. Yes, Yetis. Now, actually, I have already seen this article from Q, and I really like it. But I really want to, show it, right? Even though I don't need to look at it because I already have looked at it, but because it's a good example of how creative you can be with this prompt. So, yes. Happy YetiCon Day. Happy birthday, big guy, wherever you are. Dr. Devon R., Yeti Rediscovery Group. Turns out Bigfoot was real all along, and the inevitable march of progress finally found a way to expose them to the world. In the frenzy that followed, humanity promptly hunted the Yeti into extinction. Everyone trying to get a slice of the Yeti pie. Because that's inevitable, because this is Megacorpolis. With everything from taxidermied corpses to Yeti fur coats to Bigfoot burgers, none of which would surprise me at all, the Yeti's discovery led to a short-lived and violent economic boom. When the dust settled, the mythological creature was nowhere to be seen. But they can't be all dead, right? Since that would make for a much too depressing truth, many have turned to the belief that they are still out there, hiding and waiting. And what better way to say, I'm sorry for causing the annihilation of your kind, than a birthday party? YetiCon is the birthday of the last known Yeti in captivity, called Pete, if you were curious. It is celebrated every year with the hopes that the party will bring the Yeti back out of hiding, presumably to join the fun. Right. Happy birthday. YetiCon Day is on the 10th of December, celebrated from about lunch to midnight in the Yeti Truth Convention Center. There's cakes, balloons, and more merch than you can shake a very big foot at, with everything from Sasquatch plushies to Bigfoot-themed cybernetics. Cosplayers and Yeti punk bands entertain crowds, hold competitions, or all around make a good big ol' laugh out of the whole extinction thing, because isn't that hilarious? Yeah. Though previous YetiCon days banned merch like stuffed specimens or Yeti murdering memorabilia, these rules loosen every year that goes by without an appearance from Bigfoot. And thank you for the follow, Lord Galacrond. Alright. Some people are even starting to get nervous. If the Yeti ever does return, that won't be good for their profit. We can't have that. No, not in Megacorpolis, we can't. A day of fun and feat. Besides buying useless junk, the YetiCon Day is full of various activities and or scams to be enjoyed. You may have been to a few Comic-Cons, haven't you? And sci-fi cons, and yeah. You know the community. Yes. poking fun. You know what? I always come home with useless junk too. Because I go to all that shit. Okay. All right. Such as lectures. Okay. Sorry. The music in the other room was just very loud all of a sudden. I'm like, I'm going to get copyright hit here. All right. Lectures. Ever wanted to know about the Yeti's nocturnal habits? The chemical composition of their droppings? What snacks they prefer? Every year, there are countless lectures and talks of dubious value, all attended at different stages of sobriety. Games! From carnival games to full VR fun houses to the YetiCon hosts a whole range of fun activities for the whole family. Terms and conditions may apply. Which is, of course, a really hilarious, commonly available document article. Yeah. Only about half of them are rigged, and the other half are expensive, like every carnival and fair I have ever been to. Okay. Food. Celebrating the birthday of a murdered species is bound to work up an appetite. For that, the YetiCon is filled with vendors and stalls. The special Bigfoot brew of Java is said to be the Yeti's favorite, usually by the people selling it. Of course it is. That's a good picture. That's neat. Find the Yeti. A game of hide and seek where a poor employee is dressed up as a Yeti and forced to hide from mobs of rampaging, intoxicated congoers. Recent years have armed said mob with paintball rifles for authenticity. Participants are charged by the pellet, so intoxication is encouraged and full auto fire available. Yeah. There's a job that, you never want. Music. The Yeti punk genre of music, blending the vocalization of the Yeti with various instruments and a general lack of talent, has its day in the sun during YetiCon. Live bands play all day through the venue, with frequent fistfights breaking out between the bands about who gets the best time slot. You really do know our community, don't you? Have you ever been on the music roster for a con or a festival? I have. It's fun. Okay. Movies. It has become a tradition for most movies about the Yeti to be announced during YetiCon. Because of course it is, if only for the free advertisement. Naturally. Right? Everything from action movies, Yeti's back and he's out for revenge, to teary-eyed documentaries about their demise is shown back-to-back without the slightest hint of irony. It's great. Don't worry, we couldn't have gotten them all. I mean, it's highly unlikely. Probably. They'll be back. And soon, I think. Dr. Devanar, Yeti Rediscovery Group. And I'll read your sidebar, it's great. The legend of the Yeti. Not everyone believes that the Yeti are all dead. If they avoided discovery once, maybe they can do it again. That is the essence of the new version of the Yeti myth, and its adherents, many former Bigfoot hunters, now seek for any evidence of survivors. Yeti cake. Over 1,000 pounds in weight and made out in the crude approximation of a Yeti, the Yeti cake is the highlight of the event. Any trace of symbolism as a horde of citizens descend upon the Yeti to tear it to pieces and be devoured is thankfully lost on participants. Attack of the Clonefoot. Despite all natural Yetis being extinct, clones exist. You didn't think the corpse would let such a profitable thing stay dead, did you? Nope, not Megacorpolis, I certainly didn't. Yeti clones lack whatever metaphysical cloaking capability their wild kin had that kept them safe for all those centuries. As such, more foot purists don't think of them as the real thing, but that doesn't stop them from having a few around for the YetiCon, though. Any rumor of Raffle Raptor on Yeti Bloodsport being hosted in the dark hours of the day probably isn't true, but there's talk about it in some boardrooms. No, of course it's true. This is Megacorpolis. Hiding in plain sight? Some claim that the YetiCon will never succeed, not because the Yeti is dead, but because they were there all along. According to this particular conspiracy theory, and I wonder if that's your conspiracy theory, right? YetiCon was in fact started by Bigfoots. With all eyes dazzled by the shiny things, no one could dare to imagine that the organizers behind it all were Yetis, hiding in plain sight. And I cannot believe that this is a real poster. This is like, I don't know where you got this, but this is amazing. I don't know, can you guys see this? Probably not. I'm going to do like the full size thing just because. Check this out. Look at this. Yeah. Where the hell did you find that, Q? That is awesome. Okay, so this has got to be the most original take on this that I've seen yet. And that's really interesting. I love it. Yeah. All right. Yeah, everyone remembers the internet breaking article from Q. Yep. I heard someone mention the redacted article. Yeti pie! Also, humans. Second Out of Summer is all like, they were coming back for the 100th birthday. Yeti never left. Exactly. Second Hand is a secret Yeti searcher. Yeah, what do they call that now? Cryptozoologist. I think it's what they call it. Q says he has not been to cons like that. Oh wow. Okay. No, you've okay, cons are a lot of fun if you haven't been to them, and they're really cool in that it's like World Anvil. You get to beat a whole bunch of other complete freaking nerds just like you, right? And talk about really nerdy stuff, and it's great. But yeah, there's a cynical aspect to it. Some cons are really all about the money, right? Most cons have an element that's really all about the money. My favorite con is a con called Pentacon that exists here in the Okanagan Valley because it's small, right? And because it's entirely put on by fans, right? And they are all about the community, right? They're like World Anvil. And then there's others that are all about how much can we bilk you for your fandom, right? And getting, for instance, right? If I am presenting at a con, which I have done a few times, right? I will, like, I'm providing the entertainment, right? So I don't want to pay a vending fee. And if you're not going to at least give me a discount on my vending fee, I'm not going to present at your con because you're just trying to bilk as many people as possible, right? That's my opinion. So, and oh, but you get exposure. Does not cut it for me anymore. I'm a pro writer. I don't need exposure at like your little con. I don't. So anyway, you get it, right? There is that. The article is about the birthday of the Yeti, right? The last Yeti that was alive, whose name was Pete, was born on December 10th. I'm not sure how we found that out when they weren't a clone, but that was their birthday. So this is an annual holiday to celebrate the birthday of the Yeti, even though the Yeti was completely wiped out by humanity. It's just the juxtaposition and irony. It really kind of does go. It kind of stretches the limit of what this challenge was intended for, but it's hilarious. It does technically meet the requirements, right? And it shows you how creative you can be. So, yeah, I've just channeled the ambient con knowledge of nerddom. Yeah, you may have picked up that kind of stuff on message boards as people, inevitably blow up over some internal politics thing that happened at some con or another. Because that never happens on Twitter. Okay, anyway. Someone is communicating Morse code in the background. It's my music. I've got a sci-fi playlist from Sirenscape running. And just because I do fantasy music all the time and I didn't feel like it today. So. Q says, yeah, they involve interacting with people, like face to face, not through a computer. But all the people who go to those cons, except for most of the performers, are just like you, right? They don't only talk to people through computers for the rest of the year mostly too. So, was the beeping sound annoying? I'm sorry. If it is, I will not play that song again. Okay. Yetis are communicating. Dealin says, true, I've only been to one con and I avoided people mostly. Yeah, it's a lot. The best cons will have quiet zones where if you want to get away, you can go there and decompress. Because, like, it's true, a lot of introverts go to. I am an introvert. I know I do not come across that way, but I am. Why do I do okay in this format? Because I know what's expected of me, right? And and besides, there's some distance, right? Because it's through a computer, right? So, but my worst nightmare is being asked to make small talk at a party, especially a work party, over a punch bowl. Because I will inevitably say something that will get people to look at me like this. So, I don't like those, right? And I don't, and big crowds get to me, right? So I need places to decompress, right? So the best cons will have those, but a lot of them do. So Delian says, and then I found one other Estonian there, and I just talked to him. That's what I tend to do when I go to places like that where I don't know anybody. I find someone and I do that. But that's one of the reasons why I vend or present at cons, because it's an icebreaker, right? People come to me, right? When I'm vending, they know what like there's a condition to our relationship, right? They're buying, I'm selling, right? So there's a box that nicely defines how we're going to interact, right? And I know I'm not going to do, like, I know what the rules are of that little box, so I know I'm not going to screw it up, and I know when somebody else is violating the rules of that little box, so I'm going to feel comfortable telling them to piss off, right? If they're, so yeah, and presenting is like that too. Presenting is a lot like this. You talk, and you know, the thing is, you know, people ask you questions and interact with you on that level, right? So, yeah, but if I go, I would never go actually to a con by myself where I didn't know anybody. I wouldn't go actually, and I wasn't vending or presenting. So I feel you. Yeah. Second Hand Samurai says Yeti are quite different from Bigfoot. Read more on my subreddit. R Yetis run the world, or buy my book. Bigfoot is more than a Yeti who ran out of Java. That's amazing. And I can totally see that presentation at that event. It's fun, says Q. Yeah. Yes, it is fun. Secondhand needs a cameo now. Yes. Yes, I think you should steal that whole hawk there, actually, Q. Steal that whole hawk and put it in a quote box, because that's brilliant. There may or may not be a mercenary band named after Secondhand. The Secondhand Samurai's Discount Mercenary. It's awesome. Oh, it's great. I think the most fun I have with Megacorpolis might be the silly headers. Yeah. They are pretty great. I really enjoy Megacorpolis. It allows me to laugh at a lot of things that I normally do not find very funny, you know? I'd watch that film. It would have to be on VHS as well. So would I. That'd be one of those, okay, we're going to bring popcorn because this one might be a popcorn thrower. But then again, right, that's how the whole Evil Dead thing got started. You guys ever see the original Evil Dead? I mean, they were trying to actually make it a horror movie. By the second one, they had figured out that they were more of a comedy, right? And a cult classic was born. So, yeah, because it was just so bad. It was so bad. Megacorp Con. Yes, Megacorp Con would be cool. Would be very cool. I wonder if you have enough fans to sustain a con. That's interesting. There's an Honorverse Con, right? For David Weber's Honorverse series. I was surprised by that, right? I figured you had to be Star Wars or Star Trek to have enough people to make a specific con for a universe, but you know, Yeah. No, that's cool. Down with exposure, exactly. Sure, I did hear a Jeremy on. Coming of age rituals count too. Yes, yes, they do. Absolutely, right? Because a coming of age ritual is just the acknowledgement of a particular birthday, right? Like if your culture, every culture, if they have a child stage, which I don't know how you could do unless you were an energy being, right? Has a point at which they cease to be considered children and become adults, right? So, how is that acknowledged? When does that happen? Do they acknowledge it by the keeping of time, right? Many of these coming of age rituals will, right? Or they could be acknowledged by a life event. It wasn't uncommon for, young womanhood rites to occur when a girl's first menstruation was, right? And there were equivalents for boys who had their first wet dreams, right? They were, as I understand it, they were considered adults, but kind of barely, you know, more like how we would consider teenagers, although they didn't really have the word or the concept, right? And I think we're also losing the concept of teenager. By the way, we're more and more firm about that. For some reason right now it seems like, and this has changed over the course of my life, right? And I'm only 45, but for some reason right now we seem to think that people are children until they turn 18, and then they magically become full adults, and we expect them to take responsibility for things we've expected them to take less and less responsibility for as time goes on. But I mean, culture's weird like that, right? So, they'll have something, right? The turn of so many seasons, right? There's a lot of cultures that celebrate, um like, okay, so all these people were born in the summer, right? And after 15, or over the course of the year between this summer and that summer, right? So at the 15th summer all these people become adults, right? There's lots of different things. Yeah, so rites of passage, right? I'm writing about what I've decided to write about for this. There is a culture in my Weird West world called the Mantis folk, and they're sort of like a variation of Thri-kreen for those of you who are role-playing gamers, right? But they have some unique characteristics. But they obviously have a larval stage, and then they have a chrysalis, right? And that chrysalis and the coming out of that's what I'm writing about. So, you know, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Q says, I'm all about that stretching. I'm flexible like crazy. Okay, so I read this book called Lies We Live By, and it's really about how you learn. And I this always resonates with me. Uh, Dr. Stephanie Burns, right, is the author of the book, and she said there's basically four types of people. There's the what people, the why people, the how people, and the why not people, right? Okay, the what people are who school is designed for. They want to know what is 2 plus 2, what is expected of me, what are the rules, what is the answer to this question, what is the facts, right? That's who school is designed for, and it works really well for those people, right? And then we have people like me who are the why people. Well, why does 2 plus 2 equal 4? Why are these the rules? Why is this the way that is done? Why did history work out this way, right? And sometimes they do well and sometimes they don't. They have to have a reason to care about whatever it is they're working on to complete it. Then you have the how people. How is it that 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? These are the kind of people who take apart the VCR to find out how it works, right? Because they, and they tend to be better at stuff that is like workshops and hands-on, right? Your biology dissections were designed for the how people, right? And then you have the why not people. And the why not people tend to get the most trouble. And you are a why not person, Q, right? The why not people are like, well, why doesn't 2 plus 2 equal 5? I'm going to experiment with it to see if I can make it make 5, right? Why don't you uh you know put a peanut butter sandwich in the microwave? Let's or and turn it on for like 20 minutes. Let's do that and find out what happens. Right? That's you. And I love it. I think it's great. Yeah. All right, Dinosaur Bob says we wouldn't be writers and world builders if we didn't stretch limits. Fact. DM Stretch is like, what's this about stretching? Yeah, I think you got the marker cornered there. Yeah. Oh no, the teacher look? Do I? Yeah, the teacher look. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Small talk at Punch Bowl. Yep. Question. What would a centaur house look like? That's a good question. um, okay, so I have sentient or sapient, if you're being technical in whatever branch of sci-fi community that comes from, which is new, but okay, right? They are a conscious, thinking, aware species of horse that exists in my Weird West world, right? So I kind of think about like how would they want, like, because they're gonna have horse needs, right? So how would they want things designed, right? So they probably would want stalls, but they certainly want to be able to go in and out of them, right, at will. They're not going to let you lock them. That's, nonsense, right? Um, if there are doors that need to be barred, they're going to want to have like teeth adaptable things to open them. Your centaurs are going to have the same problems in that respect, but they're going to have horse needs and they're going to have human needs too. So I imagine their beds would be more like comfortable areas of straw that are like, sectioned off, right? And probably a lot of things would be similar, except, I doubt they'd ever develop bathrooms, right? There would be separate places to bathe and separate places to dispose of waste, right? So that would be, you wouldn't have those, right? But I'd imagine you'd have, but otherwise there's lots of things that would be similar that might be taller, right? Like you probably want a place to wash dishes. I mean, like I can see that, but it would. I'm 5 feet tall, so I'm not gonna be able to reach theirs because this is gonna be up there because they're gonna have these long horse legs, right? So they're gonna be considerably taller, and I would have real trouble reaching their counters, right? And there would be more room. Like they'd have to be bigger, I would think. So just a few things off the top of my head. Delian says, I went to a whole different country on a con on my own. Still not sure how I did that. You are a braver person than I, and I admire you immensely. Although I would say that if I knew someone online and I was going to meet them there, I would do that. I would not consider that somebody I didn't know. So, yeah, but good for you. And going to a place where it's not your language takes some effort. I have done that, right? And it was I had to work up the courage, right? Because I went to a con in Montreal, and no, it was good. I had a good time, but that's in part because I was presenting, right? Um, 200 Hero says Yeti people run the world, not lizard people. There you go, Q. I think impulse buying the ticket helped. No easy way out once you got the ticket. Well, it certainly would be a shitty waste of money if you didn't go, right? Saruka says Megacorpolis is like the real world, 100%, which is why it's funny but also terrifying. True story. That's why I think it's hilarious. Yeah. ThroneCon is trying to earn funding based around Game of Thrones. Okay, I might go to that. That's cool. I really liked it. I liked Game of Thrones. Yeah. I really like the idea of the Honorverse Con. The Bu9 group are quite cool. I wish I got a hold of the ship warfare game. Yeah, I love the Honorverse, and the community is very interesting. They're far more technical than I am, right? I'm the kind of person who reads David Weber's books and kind of skims through all his technical descriptions because I just cannot be bothered, right? But I understand for some people that's part of the attraction, right? I read his battle strategy stuff intensely though, right? It's the equipment that I lack interest in, right? So dreaded hero, a world without children, future generations will thank us. DN Stretch says, I would so love a Discworld Con. Oh, hell yeah, so would I. Discworld Con has been a thing since the 90s. Not in Canada, it frickin' hasn't, because I'd have gone there. Is it just in the UK? Because, like, damn. Oh, now I gotta go to the UK because I gotta go to that. Secondhand Samurai says, I once had a 15-minute, I assume, argument with Terry Pratchett in 1993. He was ace and then signed my book. Highlight of my childhood. I bet that was a lot of fun. I bet. I would have loved to have had the opportunity to get into some spirited debates with him. That's amazing. That is really cool. There's an article on centaur houses on World Anvil? Because of course there is, because we're world builders and we do everything. Somebody came up with it. That is really cool. If you do have the link, Delian, I hope you are going to share it. Bedroom, a stable with a pillow stapled to a wall. Possibly, but horses often like to sleep lying down. So, well, yeah, I guess, right? Because it'd be, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Or do they kind of sleep like, you know? I wonder. That's interesting. Delian says, can I post the World Anvil article in Central Houses? Well, yes, I just said, please do. That's excellent. Kajatan says, I wonder how they would wear clothes, only on the human part or on the horse part too. I assume they would probably wear it mostly on the human part, myself. But they might put things on like, you know, barding, tail ribbons, uh, you know, maybe a blanket type thing because, you know, horse blankets are for when it's cold, you know. There's all kinds of things that show horses wear, and that might be a good idea, a good place to get ideas. And, you know, yeah. Rudy says, I think the sapiens sentience distinction arose because of scientific studies that showed that yes, animals are self aware and understand their surroundings, but they aren't capable of the kind of thought humans can do, for better or worse. You know, this is a thing that you guys have introduced to me, that there is some kind of distinction, right, on these streams. Because, like, now I've been involved in the science fiction world for a long time, and I have never seen it until now, right? I talked to Nebula winning and, you know, nominated and Hugo nominated and winning writers on Twitter and whatnot on a regular basis because I'm a SIFWA member, and I was doing a volunteer thing for their channel on YouTube, and I have never seen anybody be so firm about this description, like this distinction, right? So I'm not saying that it isn't a thing, but I am saying it's a new thing, right? And I don't believe it has entirely permeated the old guys yet, right? I'm definitely in sort of the old guy crowd, right? So perhaps I just haven't caught up to it yet, right? And, you know, I don't know. I'm also of the opinion that if you understand what someone means, you shouldn't correct them, right? So, you know, but I mean, people seem to be really like, this is the second time that this conversation's come up, and it seems to be really a thing. Is this like a Reddit thing? Like, because I'm not on Reddit at all, so I don't know. Maybe it's just that I'm 45 and I haven't caught up yet. Okay. Um, the waste question, it haunts you. um, you know what I would think? I would think that they probably would specifically have like fallow fields that would be expected to be the place where they would dump their waste, and they would just poop like horses do, I assume. Right? And then that could also be useful for agriculture in the future. Whose strategies do I like to read? David Weber. David Weber writes a series called The Honorverse, and it's he does a lot of thought about the way the battles play out, and about the strategic maneuvers of one group against another and the tactical maneuvers of one group against another. And there's a distinction between those if you're not actually familiar with what the terms mean. It's very important in military science fiction, actually. It's very important in military jargon, right? And the technology is sometimes very important to it because people have to adapt different tactics as different technology changes the arms race. And he's very, very good about taking all of that into account. So I do love to read about how the new technology has affected the strategic thinking. I just don't really care about the technical readouts of the new technology, right? I'm like, okay, so the LAC, which is like a little, it's like little torpedo craft kind of deal, right? It's um, it suddenly changes the way warfare is done, right? I don't need to know how the LAC works personally, right? So I skip that section. He includes it, and lots of people do like to know that kind of hypothetical technology, and it's a big thing, right? But I do not care, right? I care that it exists and how it affects the tactics, right? So that was what that conversation was all about. I'm sorry I wasn't clear for those who are, don't read the books. My fault. My fault. Here's my fellow Good Cookies article on centaur houses. I'm clicking on that. We're not going to look at it right now, though, because I'm already over time here. Right? Aren't I? No, wait, no, wait. I got 3 hours, right? Hold on. Yes, and I started at 1, so I'm on till 4. Oh, good, I have time. Maybe we will look at it. Okay. Horses don't lie down unless they're sick or birthing, and not always while birthing. That is an old wives' tale. It's not true. I have been around a lot of horses, and I know it's not true. Sometimes they just lay down because they want to. Yeah. I mean, they can sleep standing up and often do, but sometimes they don't. Yeah. Almost elven shoes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so the debate about whether horses lie down. That's what categories with me. I've had horses lie down for a lazy snooze when they feel safe, and they can be trained to lie down on command, a combat tactic used by some Native Americans. Yeah, that's all true. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, light attack craft, LACs. Yeah. Basically, it turned it from like he was looking in that David Weber was looking for inspiration in the shift in naval warfare in history, and all of a sudden it became all about aircraft carriers, basically, right? So that's kind of what he was imitating with space vessels, and the LAC, the um, light attack craft were, you know, basically used like jets, like fighter planes in naval warfare are today. So, yeah. Rudy says, I'm on Field of Dishonor, and frankly, I'm pretty much sold. Yeah, I love it. I've read every book in the series. I've read every short story in the series. I'm actually I put it on, I suspended it, but I have a thing on my blog where I'm doing a chronological reading now of the series, not a publication order thing. And that's a weird one when you get into the later books because you're like, okay, so I'm going to read 2 chapters of this book, and then I read 3 chapters of that book, and then I got to read 1 chapter of that book, and then I got to read that short story. And now I can go back to the second book and read 2 more chapters, and then back to the, and it's interesting, right? Because you compare what's going on in 3 different series all at the same time with 3 different sets of characters. Complex. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah. Time, yells E Songbird. Were you starting your stream or something? Because am I like going over your time? Because I thought about, wait a minute here. I forgot what I'm doing. I'm very tired today, so just a second here. Am I going into someone's time period right now? Because I don't want to do that. Tradition. Where the heck is it? Did I shut it down? Okay. No, I'm still on for another 45 minutes. Okay. Oh, good. I get to raid Kahuna for a change. Right, instead of him raiding me. That's excellent. Happy to return the favor. Kahuna's awesome. I enjoy his streams. Okay. 8 out of 10 published and entered. Congratulations, Danny. Good work. Finished all 20, says Sarukas. Congratulations on your silver badge. Good job. Ganbare, everyone, says E-Songbird. Right on. Hello. Oh, hey, speaking of which, I had a question in my Discord recently about what is my raid call, right? And the truth is I didn't come up with one because I thought, well, you know, maybe 75% of my audience are Anvilites, right? So aren't we all just using Light Up the Forge? But I guess not, because it was pointed out to me it's about, well, that way people know where you came from and it kind of builds community. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's cool. So my Discord is Sable's Privateers, right? So our raid call is prepare to be boarded. So there you go. So that's what we're going to yell when we go see Kahuna in 45 minutes. Yeah. I think it would be impossible to build a city where humans and centaurs can comfortably live. I don't think so. I actually think that could be done. It would have to be, like, you'd have to make some accommodations. We were just talking about this, right? My husband and I, right? There are a couple of cities in our universe that are very cosmopolitan, right? One of them is the city of Cimarron, which is a city of mages on our world of Carthan, and another one is the city of Sanctuary on Draconia, right? And they tend to be very multi-special, right? And we have everybody from goblins to, I don't know, ogres and the occasional dragon, right, living in these places. So how do you make that work? Right, now he was talking about a friend he knew, right, who was a little person, right, and you know, things like this. You'd have a staircase, right, and there'd be like the regular size stairs, and then up against the wall there would be half stairs that would be built up between the regular size stairs, right? And I'm like, okay, so you'd have that, right? You'd have like different sizes of staircases, right? You would, you know, like I would imagine that multi-special dwellings would be complex because you'd have to have human-sized and centaur-sized rooms, but I think you could do it. Humans lived among animals for a very long time. It's one of the reasons why so many diseases got spread to us, right? Is that we lived very close to animals a lot. So, although the idea seems weird to us for hygiene purposes in the 21st and 21st century, right? Like we're like, oh, that's kind of gross, but medieval people didn't think that, right? So yeah, no, I think it would be entirely possible. Yeah, aircraft also introduced 3D combat. A very good point, and something that is difficult to consider when you're writing in a space environment. I find, right? Like I like the nuances of combat. I try to make it, I try to make it entertaining, and I try to I try not to sound stupid. Let's just put it that way. But I'm proud of myself. I have a few dedicated readers who I know are ex-Navy, so I must be doing okay, right? But the 3D combat's very difficult to consider, and you have to kind of go back and forth between simulating air combat and sea combat, and sometimes it doesn't work very well, right? There are much better writers than me out there who do a much better job, in my opinion. So, yeah. Did I just get rated? Is that what the Ganbari is? Okay. I wasn't sure. Basilisk Station is the best. That is an excellent book. And one of the reasons, you may be right, And it's because it doesn't have a lot of that sort of technical stuff that became really popular later, or the long diplomatic meetings, which I found fascinating, but a lot of people find boring, right? Because, yeah, it was bare bones, right? So you can kind of see the skeleton of his action-based plot very clearly. That's good. So, um, I miss the relationships that, yeah, that Basilisk Station created. Everything shifted to be more about nation by book 4, so I lost a little steam. It's true, and a lot of people do lose steam at about that point, and Weber knows that, and that's why he started expanding into different series. But realistically, as his character advanced through the ranks, they had to consider broader geopolitical concerns as opposed to um, individual battles, and it's yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, I agree with what you said there, Dinosaur Bob, about individual quarters would be harder. Cities would be, fairly possible. All right, cues off. Have a good night. Thank you for joining us. Your article was awesome. Thanks for keeping the internet intact today. Somebody else is streaming, but I don't think it was on the calendar. Okay. All right. I'll have a look. So Laxiak, Laxiak Loves Laws is on now. Okay, good to know. I use 2, says he Songbird, Fly Free Jailbird, and Gun Body. Okay. I need a raid call too, says Dinosaur Bob, or Dinosaur Bob, Dino Stampede. I was reading ahead, sorry. Dino Stampede? Hmm. Roar! I don't know. Yeah. Except that's Laura's, isn't it? Roar. Okay. Yeah, Secondhand Samurai says Field of Dishonor is my favorite, I think. That was the best character book of all of them. So that might give, and it was one of my favorites too, right? So that gives you a sense of, what you read a book for, right? Do you read it for, uh, you know, the question, the action, the plot, the character, the theme, right? All of these are valid reasons to read. I read about characters. I like to have characters that I can really, um, really identify with. So, and that was the best character book of the series, and it's one of my favorite too. Yeah. Dinosaur Bob, what do you call them, viewers? Aaron Ree, I call them peons. No, you don't. Not on my channel. Oh, sorry. Posture check. I missed it. Ooh. Don't know yet. Only been doing this for 3 weeks. They're not streaming Worldbuilding over on Lax's channel this time, though, which is probably why it wasn't on the schedule. Okay. Then I'm not going to feel obligated to hurry. Or just trample. That could totally work. Yes, it could. I like that. Trample is excellent. All right, so we've got half an hour left to the stream. I have caught up. I don't have any more links waiting in the queue. Are there any other articles that people would like me to look at? Is there anything that people would like to discuss regarding the challenge itself? Do people want, help with ideas, help with trying to make things work? Just figured out my channel points today. Dino tracks, that is great. Any articles? If there's no birthday articles, then yes. But if you have a birthday article you are sharing, and you have your non-summer camp center article, yeah, sure. Like if we have time, we'll look at it too. All right, but we have a birthday article, so we're gonna look at that. at least for today. Okay, main. The last birthday. Eophorus homepage. I like this art. That's very, I don't know, I'm just hesitating on it because I'm trying to get a sense of what is the feel that I'm getting with it. I mean, sort of Narnia, and I guess that's the obvious, but I don't think so. I also get more of a, you know, I mean, this is a great image. This is a mixture of cultures there. This warrior in the picture. That's neat. Okay. The last birthday. For a brief moment, her smile returned as she watched her youngest play with his new toy. As quickly as it came, it faded. Tomorrow, the man would arrive to take Mitiku away. Oh, wow. Life in the Murgoth Desert can already be hard for the common folk living outside the big cities. For parents, the last birthday serves solely as a reminder of this. For the child, it is a joyous event, perhaps their last. History. For millennia, communities have clung to the small oases that pockmark the Murgoth Desert. Small springs connect the surface to an aquifer deep underground and slowly refills these oases. Humans, however, reproduce and consume the water faster than it's replenished. If these communities grow too large, water becomes more scarce than it already is, and crop yields diminish. And so the practice of families selling their excess children to the wealthy began. While this celebration can be performed for any child, they are usually under 10 when it occurs, and almost always the youngest child in the family. Ahead of their birthday, the community makes several toys for the child. On the day itself, the child is showered with these gifts, and everyone swims and splashes in the oasis, something that is almost always forbidden in any other circumstances for obvious reasons. Yep, the following day, as arranged by the parents ahead of time, the patron arrives and takes the child away. Once they are out of sight, the community will never speak of the child again as if they never existed. That makes sense too. Yet usually the children are purchased by wealthy families looking for servants or manual laborers. While slavery is officially banned within the Murgothi Confederacy, this is viewed as altruistic behavior in law and is therefore rarely punished. In more recent years, the river blight that has begun ravishing the towns along the God's Gift. In response, some of these towns have started observing the last birthday as well. Wow, that's intent. A disease that appears in the banks, and crops have been destroyed, entire villages starved, tragic traditions. What a harsh world. Wow. So much to unpack here. Okay, I like the fact that this is a tragic approach, right? Who says birthdays are always happy? You know? Um, we choose to approach them as like yet one more year of survival, nana 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 to death, right? But in some cases, especially when inevitable things, like maybe a culture, you know, they all just automatically die on their 50th birthday or something, right? So there would be a degree of tragedy with the 49th birthday, wouldn't there? So yeah, that's intense, and it is really depressing. I agree with you completely, Rudy. It's depressing, and it's excellent world building. It's excellent world building because, okay, I'm gonna go back to it for just a second, right, and tell you why. Right, first of all, we know that at least in one place in this world, the climate is brutal. Right, like it has shades of Dune to me. Right. Secondly, right, we know that there is a vast wealth inequality, right? And we're not sure why, right? Third, there's clearly a colonialism going on, right? Um, so those seem to be logical places for the conflicts to happen. Let's go to your homepage and see how good my guesses are. Ha, okay, right? And this is good world building in that I was able to make the guesses, right? Iaphorus, or Iaphorus. In 291 OA, King Marcus Blackwood III of the Kingdom of Oscilla and his heir, Prince Orion Blackwood, led the Royal Oscillan army into battle against the invading forces from the Murgoth Desert. The royal battle mages turned on the Oscillian forces, destroying them and slaying both King Marcus and Prince Orion. When word of the battle reached the capital city of Oscillian, the remainder of the royal family fled north. Okay, just a second. Ooh, then there was an undead army against the okay, yeah. Caught the Murgothi invaders off guard, wiping them out. Then went on to sack Oscillian. The undead still remain. Now Queen Atrena, Marcus III's daughter, moved the throne to Elwyn's Keep, where they fled. With the exception of lords and ladies, none of Marcus's vassals came to swear fealty. Insulted by this, she did not have the forces to reunify the kingdom, and so she ruled Elwyn's Keep, hoping for some miracle. Never happened. Fought the emboldened orc tribes. So there's a lot of savage warfare, right? And the wealthy have little reason to have any concern for the well-being of the your Murgoth people, right? Because all the shit was their fault, at least in their view, right? Yeah, like I totally see that. It's a brutal world you've got going on there. Very grimdark. Yeah. Aegon is hosting me. Thank you for the host, Aegon. Welcome. Yeah, I need to completely redo the intro. It's a bit confusing, but like, yeah, I can see that there's a huge conflict. Yeah. Jillian says, I'm considering adding a birds to my stream overlay when I get around to making it. I'm obsessed with birds. Me too. I love them. A friend of yours did the art. It's cool. Do you mind? My cat would like to go out now. Can you see him there? You can probably see him there in the corner, right? Yeah. My little kitty is missing. She disappeared. I haven't seen her since yesterday. As soon as I'm done the stream, I'm gonna go out and look for her. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna let my cat out. See? Okay. I took a different view of the birthday prompt. Okay. I thought I might like some pup background. I definitely will. I'll definitely check it out after the stream. Okay. Or maybe before. Yeah. Okay. Sorry for the good mood kill. No, it's cool. It's very good world building, right? And we're here to celebrate those kind of accomplishments. Right? That is really sad. And that gives your players something to get involved in, right? Clearly they're going to want to help out in some way, right? At least if they're good people. Like, Aaron tends to do most of the DMing around here just because he's really good at it. Right? If he introduced that to the characters that we typically play, that would be all he'd have to do. Right? He wouldn't have to write anything else. We'd just be like, okay, that's it. We're going to solve this frickin' problem. We'd figure out a way. We do that. Right? So, that's good stuff. Yeah. Aaron says, I celebrate another stellar trip around the sun. at 19 miles per hour. Okay. We will look at the Centaur article because we were talking about it. But let's look at the birthday prompt because that's what we're here for today. Oh no! I have hobbits and dragons. This is not good. Why do I have hobbits? I have hobbits. Nope, still hobbits. There's something wrong with that link, I'm afraid. If you can tell me what went wrong there, Lord Galacrond, then I will still be happy to look at your article. But for now, that link is not working. Oh, no, I see what went wrong. Okay, never mind. I see it. Alright, let's try this. Okay, sorry. I see. It just lacked the colon. I do that all the time. No, it didn't. That should work. Why is that not working? That makes no sense. Well, let's see if I can go direct to your world. Nope. I get hobbits. I'm not sure what went wrong there. Or is World Anvil down again all of a sudden? Just a second. Let's find out. Nope, my world's okay. So, Okay, I'm sorry, I cannot do anything with hobbits. The intro was mostly primary, yeah, right. Okay, that's where we were. Build intro should be short and sweet and move all this into an actual player primer. Yeah, that's true, but I mean, the world was just for players to begin with, so excuse me, most of that was moved into the history challenge anyway. That makes sense. Yep, the fierce predator of the household demands to be let out. I loved the house cat predator because in that little ecosystem, yeah, kind of is. It's great. Your cat absolutely does not mind. Yes, yeah, he's a good cat. He's sweet. You know, he's a grumpy old man, but he's sweet. Lord Galacrond is having computer issues at the moment and doing a reboot. Got it. I'll have him check his settings when he gets back in. Thank you. That's great. I appreciate that. If you wouldn't mind keeping an eye on that to make sure I don't miss it, right? Since we only have 20 minutes left of the stream, and you know, I don't want to overlap people. I'm late for everything. It's not fair to the person coming after me for me to be more than a couple minutes late. So, all right, let's look at some other articles then. People shared some other things. Or unless people have questions or ideas. Actually, okay, before I go to the other articles, I'll show you briefly what I've done so far on mine. Right? Cuz I'm not done. I just started this last night. I'm still going to be working on it. So oh, I'm at a Toy Soldier Saga here. Okay, do the best. Okay. So I'll go to the main screen now. Alright. So cocooning ritual it's called. And I've like I said, I've barely started. Right? The cocooning rite is the adult or sub-adult, I should say, because I just started, right? Initiation ritual, the mantis folk. The ritual marks the passage into subadulthood and is conducted when a larval mantis folk emerges from its chrysalis into their adult form. Since the mantis folk are tribal, there is significant variation between tribes in this ritual, but there are more commonalities than differences, at least from a humanoid perspective. Right. History. Mantis folk biology almost demands a momentous celebration when they transform or transition from larva to subadult, since the larva enters a chrysalis and makes a dramatic transformation. You know, it seems obvious, right? Part of this is likely fueled by the high attrition among mantis folk larvae, right? Which I should have an E at it, right? As you can see, it's barely started, right? If a mantis has survived to metamorphose, they are likely to make it to adulthood. So a bit like the, Stenza thing, it's a celebration. Isn't this a great graphic? I found this at publicdomainpictures.net, which is where I get most of my art for a lot of these articles, right? And this is like a fractal design, and it's public domain. It's free for anybody to use. So it's way bigger than I would normally use for the cover picture for an article, but I didn't want to cut off either its mandibles or its antenna, so I left it, right? So anyway, that's what I was working on. That's my start. And now we'll look at other people's cool articles. He'll be back again if you run low on time today. He's your oldest, I know, thanks. And Darth Nicholas. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, does he have his world set to private, maybe? Or did he change the slug of his article or something? Skip your article, it's not birthday unless you don't care at this point. From Dinosaur Bob. Hey man, I got like 15 minutes left to stream. If people aren't talking about birthday stuff, then I will be happy to look at other articles. It's really cool. Trying to finish on my birthday article for this stream, but it's not going to happen. Actually, that gives me an opportunity, especially since we are running short on time now, right? Do you guys want me to do another one of these closer to the end of the month? Let's see, what are we looking at now? It's the 19th, right? So do you want me to do another one of these on the 26th next week? Because I can, if you like, to make sure that as many people as possible get a chance, right? Or I can instead do a holy crap, we need to get shit done writing stream, right? As a matter of fact, let me look here. Sunday is a good day to stream because there's not a lot of stuff on the schedule, right? On the official schedule, let's see here, official schedule, right? There is a big gap, right, between here and here and here and here, right? So, and Hefe filled this gap, so kudos to him, right? But like I could start earlier if there's nothing else scheduled and do like okay, holy shit, we're gonna focus on writing word sprints today. So I'm happy to do either. It's up to you. Okay, my birthday had been read to death and I can't find it from my phone anyway. It's cool. It's cool. I can never find pics in public domain that match my needs, so I just have to hunt and make sure my attributions are there. Sources that people recommend include Pixabay. I have used Pixabay for fantasy art in particular, right? Unsplash, right? And Art Breeder if you're willing to spend some time messing around with it, right? Because I have done pretty much all of my characters that way now through Art Breeder because it just worked and I liked it. So I have a few I need to add for the attributions. Yeah. Just completed edit 3 today from Dazzlecat. eSongbird wants to know if this was helpful for me. Yes, and it's fun, right? But the truth is that I will read as many of these as I can anyway, right? So I just want to make sure that people have an opportunity more than that. I mean, it does give me a little bit of help, because I've now seen 7 articles that I otherwise would not have seen, right? Or may not have seen. But um, I can also set aside like a couple hours to just read birthday articles, right? Because that's what I signed up to do. And I want to give everybody a chance, right? Absolutely everybody a chance. I want to read as many of them as I can. So, but on the other level, if you're looking for what personally helps me, chances are I'm still going to be behind in a week. So, holy shit, I need to get some writing done wouldn't hurt me at all either. Right? So really it's kind of up to what do you guys want to do? What would you find most helpful? What would you like to see? What do you enjoy more? Right? Because, it's 6 in one hand and half a dozen in the other for me, basically. Glad you completed your edit 3. That's great. I know what's most helpful for me, but I want to help you, says eSongbird. I'll need a holy shit day, but you need to do what you need to do, okay? So it sounds like to me so far I got 1 vote for each. I'm doing one of these panic sprints 2 to 4 hours before deadline on August 1st. That's cool. Make sure to ping me, right? Or send me a DM when you go live, because I may need it. That's great. Aegon says my goal is to get the next 10 done in 5 days so I can go back and edit everything before the last 3 come out. Word sprints are always fun with that. So that's a vote for word sprints. Okay. I'm kind of with you in terms of my personal goals on this one. I kind of want to, try to do 2 a day until I've got up. Isomber does 9 she needs to do before the next 10 come out. Dazzlecat says only 17 edits left. Okay, you know what? Maybe I should run a poll. What do you guys think? Let's see. Where is my stream manager? I was frozen for a minute there. Sprints help editing too. Yeah, they do. All right. Where am I here? I should be looking for my... Just a second. I'm sorry to have this dead error going on here. There's a thing about my extensions. Ah, there's my extensions. Okay. So there's a thing, events. All right. Recent events. Why do I have to log into this thing every time I open it? Okay. Live actions. Oh, I finally found where the tip jar is. Ha ha ha. Okay. I don't know. There was a thing to do polls. I can't find it right now. So I'll tell you what. Here's how we're going to do it. Right. Songbird says if I have to pick one, I'll pick sprints. Okay. Aegon says sprints are bad for my editing. I have to slowly prove for I missed something. Yeah, that's fair, right? So, maybe you don't want to, but we'll split it up, right? We'll do sprints and then we'll have some chatter, and sprints and have some chatter. It's not going to be, I'm going to be sitting here, and you don't have to sprint either. You can go, okay, we're going to write for 20 minutes. Here's some clickety clackety and some company and some music while we're doing that, Esombert says, I love your sprints, they're my favorite. That's cool. Good night, Kajitan. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you were here. Also, Demi's sprints were in a format that helped me. Yeah, I like his format too because they're steady and quiet, and he's willing to occasionally say things, but he doesn't like do this huge interrupt, and he doesn't allow himself to become really distracted by the chat like I do. So I'm going to try not to do that, right, on that day. I agree the clickety clackety is motivating. Yeah, much easier here. The Society of My Own Mind. Okay. Alright. So here's what we're going to do. Let's see. I think I can do both. So okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to schedule a big long stream next Sunday, right? And I will break up the writing with chatter, right? We'll do like half-hour sprints at a time so that we can get into some serious focused writing, and then I'll read a birthday article, and then we'll do another sprint, and that's what we'll do. Or, writing session, if you want to call it. You don't have to sprint. Does this sound like a good compromise, guys? Okay. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to do. I'll schedule that on the calendar as soon as we're done. All right. All right. We have 7 minutes left before Kahuna goes live. Did you guys want me to do my karaoke? Are the people here who redeemed their karaoke? Oh, wow, Lorraine. Thank you. Holy cow. Awesome. Okay. Yay. So we just beat 25 subs, so that means there will be a raffle. Right? Do I want to do it tomorrow night? That's usually my thing is that I tend to do it in the next stream, right? When I reach a goal. Or is that not fair because there's so many other, because honestly, tomorrow night we are gaming Toy Soldiers Old School. It is our first edition Pathfinder RPG in my Toy Soldier Saga universe. And Aaron, of course, is the DM, if you haven't checked that out yet, the game master, right? And it's RPG, right? And it runs from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific. So it's not the standard thing that we typically do here on this type of streams, right? So Wednesday'd be a better day since there's less overlap. Yeah, I agree. There's like 5 streams all happening at the same time at that time, and a lot of it's world building, and people are concentrating on world building, and I get it. I talked to the ASC about that today. Like, I think we're at a point where I agree with Lorraine completely. She made the point that trying to not cross stream against someone is delightfully pointless at this point because there's so many of us and there's only so many hours in the day. It's pretty much impossible, right? But there are a couple of periods where there's like 4 or 5 streams that are all going on within the same hour and a half to 2 hours, and as a viewer, I don't know what to do, right? Like, I'm like, I'll run one in the background on one computer in the other room, and then I'll like watch the other one, and I'll put the third one on my phone, because I want to support everybody. Right? So I don't know what to do. Right? So I would like to try to find ways around that, right, if we can, right? So I don't want to take anybody away from the world building streams because that's what we're doing right now, right? Yeah, it's impossible to avoid cross streaming. It's impossible, right? So we're not going to do it. It's just, and if we're doing 2 different things, right? I think that that's cool because then people can go, okay, I feel like world building today, right? But here's the RPG stream at the same time, right? It's kind of like when you schedule a con. You try not to have the same type of events all scheduled at once. You try to divide it so that there's like, because there's going to be 4 or 5 different events going on at a big con, at least, right? Maybe 20, right? And so you try to put them, not cross schedule things so it interests the same people, right? For instance, you don't have 5 romance writing workshops going on at a WriterCon all at the same time. You don't do that, right? But you might have like here's the romance writer one, and here's one for people who are interested in the business aspect of writing, and here's one for people who are interested in writing science fiction, right? And space it out like that, and that's cool, right? Because it gives people variety, and it becomes like a festival. It's fun, and you can do whatever you want. You're not stuck with one thing, right? That's cool. But when you have 5 world building streams all in the same slot, that's hard, and you don't know who to support. And I don't like it as a viewer, right? Never mind anything else. So Rain, you're amazing. Poos away back to your game. Oh, Danny, you didn't have to move your stream. You really didn't have to, especially because like I say, you're doing we're doing 2 completely different things, right? It's 2 completely different audiences. It's fine, right? There's gonna be a couple of World Anvil people like me, right? Like who are gamers and writers and everything else, who are gonna be like, I still don't know what to do, but we're you can't make everybody happy, right? And you would love to hear something tonight. Okay, you're a karaoke redeemer, and I have like 7 minutes, so I better do it, right? Wednesday would be a better day for the raffle. That seems to be the consensus. You Songbird would watch DM after last week. Yeah, Sarukas, who do I support? Aegon and writer Greg are on at that time. Yeah, exactly. You know what? I'm not going to take it personally if you don't come to our stream, right? We're doing what we're doing because we like to do it, and we're providing entertainment to whoever's interested, right? So, it's cool, right? Go do what you want to do, right? You know, Dillion's luckily pretty flexible when it comes to scheduling, benefit of being unemployed. I'm, technically a pro writer and that's all I do, but which means my schedule is pretty flexible, but I'm busy, right? Like I got a lot going on, so it's still hard, right? Enjoy the game, Lorraine. Crush those players, damn rights. Streams drive my internet connection crazy sometimes. Fact. Oh, Lorraine's one of the players this time. Oh, well then probably lay off the friendly fire. Danny says, and in that example, I still want to attend them all. It's okay, there's a big gap in the ASC lineup tonight, and that leaves me more time for unpacking props, and I won't be able to move next Monday, so that'll still be on. All right, we got a deal. That's great. I will definitely try to check out your stream tonight then, because that's cool. Did you just reschedule it? What time are you on? Because I'm going to check it out. Yeah, I'm right at the barrier there. Eh? You did move it. Okay. All right, so that would be, since my stream starts at 6 p.m. my time, that's 7 p.m. my time tonight. Okay. All right, I will try to make it. I don't know how well I will do, though. That is a time period where I'm usually running errands. I go see my mother to help her with her pills sometime between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock every day. So, but I will do my damnedest because I want to support you, and it's really cool of you. So check out Danny's stream tonight. Check out everybody's stream tonight. I'm going to play a song because you were one of the karaoke redeemers and you wanted one. And then we're going to go raid Kahuna. All right? So let's do it. And this time I'm not going to set up the raid before I start playing, right? Look at this great big guitar. How dusty it is. I'm terrible. That one always tunes high. That's more like it. All right. I moonlight as a singer-songwriter, folk singer, and this is a song I wrote about the Pern books, and it's called Dragonflight. Shining on the world. What has been done can come unfold. Can you spare just a little time? Can you take my hand? Your love is mine. Dragonflight, leave the world behind. Dragonflight, in each other we find love of a kind. Were we ever children? Did we run and play? Did we once know innocence? Did we dream in the day? We can reach back and find that child. We can reach ahead, be free and wild. Dragonflight, leave the world behind. Dragonflight, in each other we find love of a kind. Our worlds will come together. We'll join as one. Can't we do the same? Remove the cloud from the sun, from the sun. Oh, if I had just one wish, I know what I thanks everybody for joining me. And we're going to go raid Kahuna. Get my stream up here. Stream manager. All right. All right. Thanks so much. We're ready to raid? Yep, that's the raid show. Prepare to be boarded. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.